That's like
business card. What business is he in?
Nothing. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't have a title or any business.
That's like Elliot Offen put out a porno, and I'm on the box shaking his hand. You know.
What's in his porno?
Oh, my God.
Everything.
He's coming in. It's the most disturbing friggin' thing you ever saw. I'm not kidding.
Is he having sex?
Well, he's in women's lingerie like he always is.
Yeah.
And he's got a fairly decent girl there in the room with him. She starts smacking him on his nipples, like with a hairbrush, and taking a wire hairbrush to his face.
Maron.
And it's really disturbing. And then she's spanking him, and he's all red. And then he goes out, and you see him on the street. It's and then she takes the hairbrush, and he bends over. And I don't know, you know how to explain it to you. But
are you serious?
Yeah. He,
That's
Who wants that?
She makes love to him with the hairbrush.
Yeah. Who wants to see that?
Oh, my God, you do. You've never seen anything like this.
That's the definition of making love.
You would freak out.
You know what? There's one part, Howard, it's hard to describe it. I think I can do a good job. She takes something that belongs to him, that's attached to him, and she takes this twine and ties it as tight as she can around it.
You're not explaining it good. No one knows what you're talking about.
She sort of knew.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, I do.
You think so?
Yeah.
What?
A part of his anatomy.
Yeah, but not the part you're thinking.
Got twined up.
Yeah. This is so dumb. I can't wait to get the hell on satellite. I don't care if it's 4 listeners.
As careful as we're being, I think we've been off the air for 10 minutes.
Right. Meanwhile, speaking of that.
Stop by. I've asked him to come back at 7 tomorrow because I have limited time today. I got to leave today.
Was he upset about that, or was that okay?
No, it's fine. I mean, we didn't know he was coming.
Yeah, why did he just drop by anyway?
He wanted to get up.
No, but I'm just saying, why wouldn't he call first?
Because he's elegant Elliot Offen and he doesn't think things through.
The didactic, facetious moron.
The king of all media.
Who's that talking back there? The bloated hemophiliac victim?
Fire!
He'll be here tomorrow, Artie.
Yes, okay.
You know, during the show.
I love when he's in.
Yeah, we didn't pencil him in, and I wasn't prepared.
Hadn't been thinking about him.
Yep.
The gregarious monster.
And I'm here with the beautiful, vivacious, sexy Violet.
I love Violet.
I think Violet was with him.
She's my favorite sidekick in comedy history.
He's selling a videotape, and it's really going to be compelling tomorrow because he's coming in to come clean about all of his prison record and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
He's going to be honest?
It's going to be the honest Elliot Offen show.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. So it should be a very compelling interview tomorrow.
There have been a lot of allegations made about him over the years.
Mm-hmm. And how about that?
Phone calls. We get your phone calls. We get your phone calls every day.
It's elegant. I want to come on the show. I don't want to call in. That's ludicrous. That's for the troglodytes and the bedlamites and the lugaroos. I want to come back on the show with Violet. Violet, you know who she is, right? The most seductive, sensuous, and sinuous-looking chick alive. You told me to call on your cell. Today was Passover, so I was not in touch with any of my messages. It was the last day of Pesach, Passover. It was the last day, the 8th day, so I just retrieved your messages now. I'd like to help you and be in touch with you and make the show, you know, always that much more dramatic, titanic, and bombastic. So please call me. Thank you. Bye.
We get your phone calls every day.
The Howard Stern Show. Breaking news.
And we begin with breaking news in the Howard 100 newsroom. The cross-dressing whackpacker known as Elegant Elliot Offen is scheduled to appear on the Stern Show on Tuesday. He will reportedly reveal, at that time, details about his criminal past. Information he has never gone public with before. But Howard 100 News has a scoop first. Just a short time ago, Elliot ran through the long rap sheet that is his criminal record.
Howard 100 exclusive.
I'm actually, for the first time, unveiling my horrendous criminal past. And that criminal past involves 13 felony convictions. 13 felony convictions ranging from
118 counts of grand larceny, organized fraud, interstate flight to avoid criminal prosecution, gun charges, carrying a gun without a license, meaning a .32 caliber Browning high-powered automatic, a 9mm Bernardelli, firearm distributions, kidnapping charges, first-degree assault, felonious assault in the first degree, etc. Now, so I'm unveiling the entire saga, the bust-out, how I took $30 million in merchandise, in wholesale merchandise, from unsuspecting suppliers from coast to coast. I took their merchandise, I then sold all their goods on the black market, and I vanished. And nobody found me. I had warrants, federal warrants and state warrants from all over the country trying to track me down as I vanished. I took everybody's money, sold the goods, and vanished.
That's ex-con and current whackpacker Elliot Offen in a Howard 100 News Scoop. And you can hear more of Elliot's exclusive interview as he talks about the backlash of his convictions coming up later in this broadcast.
Flowers, we begin with Howard 100 News Scoop. Tuesday, Stern Show listeners expect to hear about the criminal past of a whackpacker, Elegant Elliot Offen. He's a cross-dressing loudmouth with a penchant for talking over people. He also has a penchant for breaking the law, and he spoke actually first with Howard 100 News. He has never divulged the specifics of his seedy past before. But as we reported earlier in this broadcast, kidnapping and fraud, just the tips of the rap sheet iceberg for him. He told Howard 100 News in an exclusive interview that he has some concerns about what people will think of him once they know the horrible things he's done.
Howard 100 exclusive.
There is no backlash. Anything that I do or anything that I've done, I'm facing right up to it. I'm fronting up to it. There is no backlash. It's all positive. And according to Stern and the financial genius's belief, and anything he touches turns to gold, right? Anything he touches turns to gold. Stern is estimating my video, and my criminal past is in the video, is going to knock off between 500,000 and 1 million copies. Now, you're good in math, right? You figure out 500,000 to 1 million copies at $20 a pop. A pop means gangster talk, $20 a piece. That's how much money Elegant Elliot Offen and Violet stand to make from this video.
Whackpacker Elegant Elliot Offen speaking exclusively with Howard 100 News about his long rap sheet.
You're listening to Howard 100 News.
It's a transcendental meditation. Howard Stern.
Yeah. Weehaw. All right, Elegant Elliot Offen's here. He hasn't been on the show in a while. He is selling a videotape. And what he's decided to do is come clean on his videotape about his criminal past, which he's never done before. He's always sort of shied away from the topic. And he's ready to talk about it today.
I've concurred with my penologist.
Who did this videotape? Was this done by some major company?
I think he did it. Anyway, here he is, Elegant Elliot's video, and Elegant Elliot Offen. Where is he?
Give me a hard time. He's coming.
What's his hard time?
He wants to come in with his business manager. And
No. Just get him in here and tell him we got 10 minutes and he's wasting our time. It's never easy with this guy.
He's business manager.
He's been waiting. He's been dying to get on.
Right.
And finally he has his chance, and now he's all whacked out of his skull.
What does he need a business manager for?
Hey, Elliot. How you doing? You don't have to come in with all Elliot, you don't have to come in with all kinds of people.
That's all right.
You don't need it.
Okay.
You're good on your own.
Thanks, Howard. So in any event,
let me interview you.
All right. The guy outside was Arnold Martin. He's putting me in business in the funny store on 8th Avenue to sell my video to the retail world. Arnold has a store.
Right. Now put down the keys because they're making noise.
Okay. All right. Let me get them off. Right. Let me get them off.
Take them off.
They're off. They're off, Howard.
All right. Elliot, you've decided to put out a videotape. Some of the videotape is you being humiliated by a woman.
By Violet. By Violet Maliver. By Violet Maliver.
And you decided to do half of your tape humiliation where you are dressed in women's garters and panties and...
the regular girls, frilly, lace, nylon, G-string lingerie, the same way that Elegant Elliot Offen is in front of the world with my act of defiance, arrogance, and intransigence that I'm going through the whole world to get what I want.
All right, so you are dressed as a woman on the tape, and this very pretty woman, Violet.
Thank you. Violet Maliver.
She spanks you. She humiliates you. How does she humiliate you?
Well, she has humiliated me on the tape. So that
in what way does she humiliate
I'm showing you. Pictures better than 1,000
No,
of my work.
no, we can't see the pictures on radio, so tell us about the picture.
So on the picture here, we have one, for example, where Violet has Elegant pinned up severely, right?
All right, say nipples.
Pinned up, right?
You can't say the T word. Say nipples.
Oh, nipples. Breast nipples, right?
Right.
Then we have another picture here. The ultimate dehumanization, humiliation, and degradation. You like those words, right?
Tell me about the picture.
Right?
Yeah.
Where Violet has a...
We're going to get in trouble. They're going to bleep you.
Can I say because otherwise I won't get on the air. She violates you in a place where most men aren't violated.
By the way, this is why I can't do my show here anymore. I think it's funny what you're saying. They just bleep it every minute.
And I just want to tell you something. I think it's horrendous, horrific, unconscionable, ungodly, and unconstitutional. Hello? Right? That they're trying to stop you.
All right, let's keep it about you. Let's keep it about you. You have
because you don't have much time.
Right, all right.
Yeah, we can only take so much.
Then we have another one, right?
All right, be careful in the explanation so we can get it on the air.
All right. We have another one here where Violet Maliver has, again, degraded and dehumanized and feminized Elegant Elliot Offen by roping up. Okay. All right.
All right. So she takes your testes and ties them up with the rope.
Right. Tied them up tight.
Why put this on a tape, Elliot? Well, who's the market? Who wants to see you dehumanized?
Right. So the market is this here. The market is for all of the sexually repressed, sexually oppressed, sexually inhibited, sexually defective, sexually dead people out there. They're now going to learn and understand what a kinky, funky, raunchy, freaky, taboo, triple X-rated sexual relationship with the hottest chick alive in Violet Maliver is all about.
Why would somebody want to watch this? In other words, there are people who will probably say, Elliot, you being with butt plugs and nipples and all this kind of stuff, it's not something that interests me. Why would I want to watch something like this?
They'll want to watch it, number one, because, first of all, I'm Elegant Elliot Offen.
Will it loosen them up more?
Well, it will loosen them up, number one. Yeah. Number two, I'm Elegant Elliot Offen. I've been in lingerie running 15 miles a day, high voltage, high power, high caliber, defying the world unscathed, right? Unscathed.
Okay, now let me ask you something.
And because I'm a primetime celebrity, they're going to want to know about everything that I'm doing.
How much is the tape?
The tape is in gangster talk, a double sawbuck, which means $20 a pop, and they can buy it in the Funny Store at 693 8th Avenue, where Arnold Martin has put me in business as of today.
Okay.
As of today.
Now, you decided on the other half of this tape.
Yes, sir.
That you were going to come clean about your criminal past.
Yes, I did, Howard.
You're going to be humiliated by a beautiful woman.
Yes, I did.
And then on the other half of the tape, you decided to talk about why you were in jail all those years.
I finally decided to unveil.
Why were you in jail?
I was in prison. Prison, right? And first in jail, and by the way, I was in the toughest joint, gangster talk for Slammer, known in the country. Not Alcatraz, not Sing Sing, the main unit of Rikers Island, right? Right, the main unit, okay. Now, I was there based on the following 13 felony charges. Now you're going to get the whole scoop,
all right? Take them one at a time so I can ask you.
All right, here they go. Number one, state and federal racketeering charges. Number two, kidnapping charges. Number three, possession and distribution of firearms. Number four, personal possession of a .32 caliber. It's on my rap sheet, right?
Right.
32 caliber, high-powered Browning automatic, 9mm Bernadelli automatic. Interstate flight to avoid criminal prosecution. Felonious assault in the first degree. It's all in my New York City and statewide rap sheet.
So you will not be visiting Cabby in jail. They probably won't let you. Your rap sheet's a little longer than Artie's because his bank robbery conviction is pretty bad. But well, not a conviction, but it's
not felonious.
Yes. So all of these charges, really, what were you doing? What was your life like? What was it you were up to?
The lifestyle at that point, the whole thing was predicated on a heist, on a hit. Gangster talk for taking people's money, right?
Right.
Going through the whole entire wholesale district of everything. Activewear, sportswear, luggage, light bulbs, golf balls, right?
Tell me the scam. You would what? How would you make money?
Elegant Elliot Offen. I would either telephonically, right, or in person. I would set up business meetings between me and Randy Jacobs. That was one of my hot chick girlfriends, right? We would set up meetings with Fortune 500, right, type companies. And through my being, as you know, Howard, a silver and gold tongue speaker, right, I was able, with my euphonious way of speaking, I was able to convince unsuspecting manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors to send me, Elegant Elliot Offen, truckloads, 45-foot sealed containers, gangster talk, sealed truckloads of goods at the rate of $300,000-$400,000 from every company. I bilked them. I led them to believe, through misrepresentation, right?
Go ahead, you're coming clean.
Through delusion and fraud, right?
Yes.
That I had a monumental import-export business.
So, in other words, if I manufactured radios, I would say to Elliot, I'm going to give you the radio, you go sell it for me and send me back profits. Well, but you would take the radios, sell them, and then skip the country.
Yeah, the only thing that you didn't say, Howard, you're pretty close, is that when I did the hit, it was not a question of, like what you described to me sounds like a consignment kind of thing.
Right.
I'm not doing consignment. I made these guys surrender all their goods to me on my promise, just on my word, right, of 30 days credit, 30 to 45 days credit. But I had a fence, right? I had the black market waiting for me, right? So as soon as I took their goods,
you unloaded them.
I turned it over to my connections, right?
It was a heist.
Financial hijacking, heist.
And how would you disappear so that they couldn't find you?
So then, because of how perspicacious I was, there you go, I know you like that word, how intuitive I was, whenever I felt the FDLE, for example, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FBI, New York City Police Department Special Frauds Unit, when they were coming close, right?
To getting you.
Getting close to putting the rope around me, right? On a manhunt, dragnet, right? I would vanish with Randy Jacobs and the child, right? And the child.
The child.
All right, and the child. Okay, now.
This was your child.
Well, the child that was there on that couch, I still dispute, and I say to this day, unequivocally, unmistakably, categorically, was not my child. There was a child, but that was not the child, right? Okay. Next. What's the next question?
How much did he get? I mean,
Okay.
what kind of money was he making?
Robin, you ready for this number? Elliot, tell her what they're saying in the papers.
All right. So now we go to the papers.
And by the way, you've implicated someone else who I don't know who this person is.
It's okay. It doesn't matter because Randy Jacobs was another fictitious name for this person.
All right, good.
Doesn't matter, right?
Good.
Right?
Good.
Okay.
How much?
So now, when you go into, hang on. Okay. When you get into the...
How much money do you think you made?
I know what it is, right?
Were you a successful criminal?
I know what it is. Here's the New York Times, right?
Go ahead.
And here's the New York Post. You made it big, right?
Go ahead.
They're calling it out. The Times called it out as 30 million total.
Whoa.
New York Post called it out 16 million on light bulbs alone. What? On light bulbs alone, right?
So how wealthy were you at this before you got caught?
All I did, because I had these top-notch connections, right? For the black market, for the fence, right?
Why are you saying right so much? This is a new thing.
That's the new gangster.
That's very good. That's part of the new gangster.
Is that like, yeah, she?
There you go.
Okay.
So now,
right.
I took the goods.
Yes.
as soon as possible on the transfer. And I moved it out fast, quick, scientifically, for somewhere between 20 to 25 cents, maybe 18 cents on the dollar.
Answer this question simply.
So you can figure out.
Look at me in the eye.
It's $230 million.
So you made several $1 million, let's say.
Fraudulently and illegally and unlawfully, yes. Fraudulently, illegally, and unlawfully.
How did you end up getting caught?
Finally, this was so nationwide, right?
You got so big.
In every paper, a dragnet all over the country, right?
Right.
Finally.
You worked alone, no accomplices?
With Randy Jacob.
That's it, just one girl.
With Randy Jacob. That was a very integral part of the deal.
All right. Fake name, so I have no problem with that.
No
Go ahead,
problem.
yes.
Next, finally. It was so outlandish, so outrageous, so egregious, so mind-boggling, so mind-blowing, so mind-staggering, right? So mind-bending.
Did you get cocky?
So, no, what happened was, John Kelly, Lieutenant John Kelly, NYPD, who described Elegant Elliot Offen as the most disciplined individual I've ever seen in 25 years of my police experience.
What was the reason you got caught?
So here he is. So John Kelly put an anti-crime, right, a stakeout cop, at every phone booth in New York City, west side and east side, from the river to 86th, right? In other words, they knew how cautious and how careful I was, that every time, towards the end, I was not working out of the state no more. I was right here. They localized me into New York. They figured out that I was going to hit one of these payphones. So they had a cop. They took like 50 different anti-crime unit cops from NYPD Special Fraud. Verify it yourself. They had the phones tapped. Not only tapped at a trap. So in other words, once I made the call, within 15 seconds,
they picked you up.
They got it.
How many years did you spend in prison?
A total between Rikers Island and extradition to Florida, 3 years.
3 years.
Only 3 years for
3
all
years.
that?
Now, but wait a second. Hold on, please. Good question, Robin. It probably would have been 23, but I had somebody representing me. It's fine, no problem. He's okay. Jay Goldberg. Jay Goldberg represents Donald Trump, right? Jay Goldberg represents Beth Meyerson, right? Jay Goldberg was my Uncle Murray Offen's lawyer who took
All right, so was he a good lawyer and helped you get out?
The best of the world in criminal defense. So because of him, I spent 3 years, not 23 years, behind bars, right?
And did you repent? Did you then give up a life of crime, or did you come out and start?
Were you rehabilitated?
So since the hit, since the bust out, since the 13 felony convictions, as you know, Howard, the criminal life of embezzling, either by phone or in person or both, cheating, deceiving.
All right, what happened? Did you give up?
That's gone, right?
Gone.
Okay, right.
All right.
So how does he make a living now?
Selling a videotape.
And he haven't sold it.
He gives out health advice.
Excuse me, Robin. I haven't sold them yet because we're making the hit today, right?
Did you sock away money? Did you sock away money from all of your life of crime? Is that how you were able to live?
Well, one thing is, to this day, I've been getting calls. When I say to this day, like within the last few months, I constantly get investigatory phone calls where the government is still thinking, because I'm living like the life of the rich and famous with the $250,000 of blings and living in the Mondrian, right, and living in the crib that you filmed, the government keeps interrogating me, which I'm not happy about, that they think...
Well, how do you get money?
Excuse me.
Just stop.
Okay.
How do you get money?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now.
Quickly.
So, but they think that I'm using my heist money, that I had it buried in all different safe deposit boxes.
That's what I think.
Okay, so I tell them no, that Howard promoted a manuscript where I have the proof, all the checks of the $10, of countless tens of thousands of $10 checks that have supported me over the past 5 years since I've been with Stern.
You're telling me that 25,000 people bought your diet advice?
I can tell you it's probably more than that, but I have to give you the count and bring all the canceled checks.
All right, okay, Captain Jenks, you're on the air. You're on with Elegant Elliot Offen, who's selling his videotape. It's available in adult bookstores in Manhattan this Sunday, and to order Elliot's video, go to elegantelliot.com starting November 13th.
And one more thing, I'm sorry, Hal. It's 212-980-6666. If they want the video, they can contact me direct. Right.
Okay. All right. Jenks, go ahead.
Hey, Elliot, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. Last night, before I went to bed, when I got on my knees and I prayed to the Lord Jesus Christ, I prayed that you die in a horrible car crash.
Well, I'm wishing the same back for you, and it just goes to show you.
You freakazoid. You're a freakazoid.
Listen, shut up before I punch you right out. If you're in the studio, I punch you right out. If you're in the studio, I punch you out, right? If you're in the studio, I punch you out. I knock you out. I take your head off, right? I cut your eyes off and come in the studio. Come in the studio. It's easy to be tough on the phone, right? It's easy to be tough on the phone, right? Right?
Elliot, look at me. Did you have to fight in prison? Did you get hurt or did you get raped?
Well, you see, I'm unscathed. There were many.
Be honest.
Hello? You see, I'm unscathed, right?
Right.
But there were many difficult, tough fights. Yeah, you're in prison.
Right.
Right? People want your money.
Did
they
anyone
want
try to rape you sexually? I'm being honest.
Yeah, and I'm being honest to anybody who tried, was left bloodied, me bloodied, them bloodied.
You can handle yourself.
Let me ask you, how do the cuts looking today, right?
Right.
Right? How the arms looking? How the legs looking, right? How they looking, right? How's the body looking, right?
I got two questions for Elliot.
Yes, Gary.
Okay, the first thing, I saw an early cut of your videotape.
Yes, Gary.
Did you leave in the stuff where you just show your regular life? Like Elliot goes to a street fair, and there's people dancing, and Elliot's got his outfit on. Elliot just joins in with them. Did you leave that in?
Yeah, well, that's it. But Gary, one thing, excuse me. I wasn't joining in with them. It was my street fair. It cost me $5 to put that together. That's gangster talk for $5,000. And they were joining me. And April, my former fiance, they were joining us, right?
Let's take another call, please. We have to move along quickly.
Thank you, Gary.
Let's go to Greg. Greg, you're on with Elegant Elliot Offen.
Elliot, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Let me help you promote your video here. You're an idiot, right?
No, you want to do the right like Elegant Elliot Offen. Again, I want to repeat what I said to the prior.
Let's hear his point. All
right, let's
hear your point, Mongolo.
By his genitals.
Anthropoid.
This guy should be hung by his genitals. You know, I listen to your show every day, and I'm ready to turn the station. This guy makes my stomach churn.
You're not ready to turn the station. You're a pathological, psychopathic, neurological liar.
Go ahead, Ralph. You're on the air.
Anybody who got taken by...
Right?
Oh, my God.
Go ahead, Ralph.
God, he's annoying. Anyone who got taken by this guy deserves it. I mean, can you imagine sitting down in a room with him, a businessman, and falling for that? How could anybody fall for that?
I would imagine...
They could have fallen for it because America is like you. Brain dead, brain deficient, and brain defective.
Listen,
just like you.
Did he have to make...
Just like you.
Shut up, stupid retard. Did he have to make restitution?
Right? Just like you. They can't.
Did you have to make restitution?
They can't put three words together in a sentence. They can't put three words together in a sentence, right?
So when you used to make your pitch to these businessmen, you came off a lot more sane, right? I mean, you didn't yell.
Yeah, try doing that right now.
Let's get right to it, right? This is all perfect, right? This is the way I do business with tough, right? Right? Tough, honest, right? I'm being tough and honest, right?
Howard, I got one more question for Elliot.
How about restitution, Howard?
Did you have to make restitution to the people that you ripped off?
I made no restitution. Is that the question?
Yes.
Right. No restitution
whatsoever. So he's got that money hidden. He's living off of it.
What?
So he's saying...
Take the marbles out of your
easy.
Oh, my God.
And I don't know. On free radio.
Oh, okay, Robin, you got it.
I can't believe he only spent 3 years.
Stick dick right now.
Elliot, hold on. In the article, it said that Elliot was not only a master of disguise, but a master of different accents.
Can you do those for us?
Yeah, what do you want? Okay. John, first of all, hello. Right? John Kelly, NYPD, and John Coffey, FDLE, when they were describing my conspicuous, unadulterated, unabated brilliance, right? They said I sprinkled Yiddish with a Texas draw.
Let's hear that.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So, like, I'd be talking to somebody in Texas, right, persuading them to send me a sealed container of a few $100,000 of credit, right?
Go ahead.
They've never seen me before. They had a business telephone call, and I'm persuading them to come into New York to meet me face-to-face, me and Randy Jacobs. So here we go. Just give you a few words, right? You know, y'all, I'd really appreciate if you guys could, like, send me, like, a whole truck, like, you know, from small trees, small seeds. We're going to grow to big trees together. I really need the merchandise. I don't work on it with anybody else's. I only work on everyone else's money. I don't work with my money. I use your money to work with, and I'd really, really sincerely. I know we're going to have a great business relationship. Y'all, if you can send me like a whole truckload of merchandise. We don't accept orders less than a couple of $100,000.
Well, there you go. So you are a master criminal, and there's no doubt about it.
Does Elliot ever think to write this out as a story and sell it to the movie?
This is what his video is.
This is what the first 13 minutes of the video is about, with Dr. B.G., my narrator, describing how I busted out America for $30 million.
Let's go to Lewis. Let's give him the last word with you. Elegant Elliot Offen is here promoting a tape. I'll tell you how to get it.
Ever get that right? It's Offen.
Offen, sorry. Yes, go ahead.
What's up, Howard?
Yeah, hey, man.
Elliot, I got a question for you.
What's the question? And be concise, be succinct, be exact,
now listen,
be precise.
I'm from Kew Garden Hills, so I saw your antics plenty of times with your little skirt.
Well, and you're going to see it some more, right? And if you don't
let him ask his question. Let him ask.
Take it down a notch, Elliot.
Take it down a notch. Go ahead.
Listen, Elliot, you have a brother named Lloyd. If you make so much money, why is he a dirty, smelly, homeless bum in the neighborhood?
I live in the Mondrian. You're talking about yourself, right, scum? You're talking about yourself, right, scum? I live in the Mondrian. I live in the Mondrian, right, scum?
You have a brother named Lloyd,
scum? I live in the Mondrian, right, scum? I don't know anything about any brothers. I'm only talking about myself, right,
Slime? Do you have a brother?
Right, Slime? Right, Swine?
Elliot, do you have a brother?
Let's not go into my brothers.
Okay.
I'm talking about myself, right, Swine? Right, Slime?
All right, one quick question, and then I got to end this.
Elliot, do you always wear women's clothing?
He's not now.
Well, you see, I'm not now, right? Right?
But you say you're not doing these scams anymore.
Right.
So most of the time...
Hey, don't do the upward. That's right.
Anyway, I want, because I'm going to go. I figure that I'm this rough and tough. No one's going to come near me, right?
Well,
otherwise I
Elliot,
take their eyes out, right?
You've done it again. You've come on here, and you've broken your silence about your criminal past.
Right.
And it is all contained. There's even more detail on your new video.
And the name of the video was Violet Dehumanizes Elegant Elliot Offen 212-980-6666, right?
And, yes, and it'll be available in adult bookstores in Manhattan this Sunday. And, of course, to order Elliot's video, you can go to elegantelliot.com starting November 13th. Elliot, thank you.
And starting today, you can go to the Funny Store at 693 8th Avenue, where I will be signing the video and giving autographs on the video at $20 a piece for the video of 59 minutes.
And we will be back right after these words.
Joey Ramone wrote, I want to be sedated. So whoever thought he really was.
Hi, Gary. It's Joey. Will you pick up the phone? Or you wake up at off your name? There. What comes to my name there? I want to speak to
The preceding message was brought to you by Jack Daniels and Mr. Jim Beam. You're listening to a man who falls apart from just looking at a liquor ad, Howard Stern.
Well, they have to get the sheriff later this week, but yeah, he's been a victim.
I haven't even heard I didn't get to hear the news last night, but
yeah, I haven't been able to listen all week.
It was actually very good, very good last night. They did a.
I didn't hear the report on Elliot. Should I play it?
You should, yeah, because you should, there's the landlord. I mean, it's like, the funny thing is, it's a real news report.
I'm going to tell you, I feel out of the loop on Howard Stern News. I had been learning so much about everybody involved with the show, and now that I haven't been able to listen for a few days, I feel out of the loop.
Yeah, I never miss a newscast, except last night I had a big meeting sort of outlining my ideas. So here's the news. I didn't get to hear this either.
This is Howard 100 News.
Howard 100.
There's a warrant for eviction, and he will be evicted.
A very satisfied landlord after Elliot Offen goes off the deep end in bankruptcy court.
This is Howard 100 News. I'm Ralph Howard.
And I'm George Flowers. Our top story, a Howard 100 News exclusive. Turned whackpacker Elliot Offen has to find a new place to live now. Offen, who claims to have a long list of felony convictions, was in bankruptcy court in Lower Manhattan fighting his landlord on an eviction notice. The judge ruled in favor of the landlord. Elliot stormed away very, very angry. Howard 100 News reporter Steve Langford was in the courtroom. He files this report.
Howard 100 exclusive.
Elliot, can you hang on a second?
Yeah, I mean, you can, I'm always good with the microphone, Steve, but, it's going to be my way, right? It's going to be not going to be your
Elliot,
way.
I'd like to talk. Yes. Egregious Elliot Offen, loudly dictating the terms of any interview he might or might not give to Howard 100 News as he exits U.S. bankruptcy court in Lower Manhattan.
All I need to
with him and I tell you.
All I need
Elliot?
to do is the name of the bodybuilders that he connected me to in regard to a homosexual affair and dropping pants, right? All I have to do is give you those names, right?
Elliot Offen appears in court these days because
I don't know, man. He's echoing all over the place in that tundra.
He's fighting an eviction order to vacate his New York apartment now.
There is a warrant for eviction, and he will be evicted.
Dr. Edwin Tan owns the apartment Elliot Offen has occupied for the past 2 years in a fancy building on Manhattan's East Side. Tan says Offen won't pay the rent of $3,300 a month, and he won't leave.
One day, I'm going to write a book about this.
In bankruptcy court, where they don't allow tape recorders, Offen appeared before the judge representing himself, wearing running shoes, no socks, black gloves on his hands, and a black suit coat with a red shirt. Offen told the judge a rambling tale about his constitutional rights being violated because Offen sometimes dresses as a girl. The judge looked puzzled as Offen continued on about a movie Offen says he just released. A movie he told the bewildered court he just promoted on the Howard Stern Show. Offen's landlord told the judge that Offen has tortured him and his wife with threats of physical violence and racial slurs, something he elaborated on outside court with Howard 100 News.
Demeaning other people and abusing other people. And this is what really causes tremendous pain and suffering for the last 2 years.
The judge has ruled Elliot Offen may now be thrown out of his apartment. The eviction this landlord has been dreaming about is now just a few days away.
We'll have to ask the marshal to come and evict him.
Howard 100 News tried to get Offen to comment after court, but security guards had to ask him to leave when he became belligerent.
118 counts of grand larceny, organized fraud, interstate flight to avoid...
That was Elliot Offen earlier this week in full rant, taking credit for an outrageous rap sheet a mile long. We were hoping for a similar tirade after court, but Offen did not stick around, nor did he return our phone call. He is undoubtedly out looking for a new place to live. For Howard 100 News, I'm Steve Langford. Wow.
How's he going to find a place to live after that report?
Oh, God.
Isn't that great?
Oh, my God, that's so great.
It's so great when they take our wackos and follow them like they're a big story.
But that is news. This guy is clearly, dangerous.
It's news to our audience.
Yeah.
And we have a big audience.
Yeah. And I think
you want to know what Elliot is up to?
I want them to follow him 24 hours a day.
Quite frankly, I'm very excited that he was evicted because I didn't know how he was making a living, and now I know he wasn't paying rent.
Right. That's how because you asked him the other day, how are you living in that expensive place? And he was like, I receive lots of money from Howard Stern fans who buy my tapes. Meanwhile, he wasn't paying his rent.
Yeah, so yeah. I never believed that people were buying that diet advice or his tapes.
I think that's news to everybody, not just our fans. I think people should watch him.
Yeah.
But the rant in court about his movie.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. I can't imagine what the look was on the judge's face.
Well, as they said, the judge looked puzzled.
The judge looked puzzled.
It's great.
Fantastic. That's great news.
Anyway, so I got a lot of emails. And
All media.
I think part of that success is due to everybody being curious.
Ladies and gentlemen, Howard Stern.
Hey, Papa Fooey. So what happened to Elegant Elliot Offen? Is he coming in or not?
Well, he's still out in the lobby. There are 2 police officers. What happened was Elliot had like a giant truck, like you rent a truck from a big company, and he went to go park it at a parking garage. But I guess it was too big for the garage, and he tore down a bunch of signs in the ceiling and everything, and then he just left. So somehow the cops figured he was here. They came up to talk to him. So now they're at the part where they're like, dude, you got to move the truck. You can't leave it where you left it. So he goes, well, would you move it for me? And he doesn't understand that the cops don't move trucks.
They're not working for him.
Yeah. So then he asks his friend to move it. His friend doesn't have a driver's license. Then they ask him to move it. Turns out Elliot doesn't have a driver's license. The cops are like, well, how long do you need him? Meaning, like, if he can come in here for a little bit, and then they're going to need him back.
They're going to arrest him?
I think they're just going to make him move the truck. But I don't know.
But how can he move it if he doesn't have a license?
Yeah, I mean, now we're in a real problem.
All right, well, let Elliot come in and say goodbye.
And I'm not sure why they had to, either one of them had to offer up the not having a license thing. Now,
what do you mean?
In other words, they could when the cops said move the truck, they should have just gone down and moved the truck.
They told that they didn't.
They told the cops they don't have a license?
Yeah. Both of them offered that up to the police. Elliot and his friend.
Elliot's like a major scam artist. He doesn't know not to tell the police he doesn't have a license.
How's he been getting away with his scams all this time? He's so bad at it.
Holy mackerel. All right, you know what? You better let Elliot say goodbye before the cops drag him out of here.
Well, they're going to keep him. They're going to let him stay. Do you think you should play that piece before Elliot comes in? Or do you want to just get Elliot right in?
I just got a feeling the police can't wait that long.
It might be the long goodbye.
Here you go, Elliot.
Boy, Elliot, trouble follows you around, man.
So, all right, there was a little accident with the thing. Let's not make a federal calamity. All right. An accident with the truck. The roof fell down. All right, okay.
The roof fell down.
All right, we can handle it, right? We can handle it, right? The NYPD know who I am, right? No issue. The guy Joe Gallen from Screw Magazine, my business partner, is going to sit in the truck until I get off the interview. No issue. Hey, Howard.
Hey, Elliot.
Hey, Gary.
Well, Elliot, so in other words, when you told the police you don't have a driver's license.
I didn't say that. Hello, right? Joe Gallen doesn't have a driver's license from Screw Magazine.
I have one?
You know I do, right? Right. So now they took my address at the Mondrian, right? They know where I am. I'm not going anywhere, right? So when I get off the interview, we'll resolve the beef. Gangster talk for the issue, right?
No,
we'll resolve the beef. Yeah, I always have an address. You know that, Robin, right? I do what I want, right?
You drove a truck.
Let's not talk about the truck. The truck had the goods.
But let me understand
the truck has the goods in it. Gangster talk for merchandise, right?
What's in the truck?
It has all the videos that we're delivering, that we're shipping. That's a truckload. A truckload, right?
All right, so in other words, you had a truckload of
videos. Violet dehumanizes Elegant Elliot.
Yeah, Elliot, don't filibuster. Let me just understand one thing.
There ain't no filibuster. Here's the Screw Magazine,
right? Let me understand something.
The feature story of Elegant Elliot in Screw Magazine. Even though Al Goldstein is bankrupt, Joe Gallant and his boys took it over, and they did a feature story. Right, Robin?
All right.
There you go, of Elegant Elliot, the video.
So you packed up a truck, and the truck is a U-Haul type truck.
The truck is a
U-Haul. It was too high, so when you pulled into the parking garage, the whole top of the truck came off.
No, not the truck, the top of the truck, Howard, no.
Right. No, the top of the...
top of the garage hit the truck, no big issue, no sweat, we can handle all that, right?
What was destroyed?
The ceiling.
The ceiling?
And
some signs.
A couple of signs. $91 in damage. We'll cough it up and fork it over and resolve the issue.
So what happened?
Right? Minor stuff, right?
So I guess
you know Elegant Elliot. I go through the whole world,
so
right?
The garage complained.
Really?
Oh, my God. So the garage...
Go where I want,
So the garage complained, I guess, that you ran out of there without resolving it.
I didn't have to run out of anywhere. I walked over to the show because you were waiting for me, right? Okay. I was booked on the show by Gary Galabati, right?
You know what? I gave him a hard time yesterday. I said, Elliot, when I say 7, I mean 7. So I think he really needed to be here.
Right. So I came here at 7 because Gary said... Get my keister here. That's gangster talk from my ass over here at 7 a.m.
Ronnie, the limo driver. Ronnie wants to say something.
Yes, Ronnie.
All right.
Ronnie, but don't push me out of the way.
No, I'm not.
No, he's got to get on the mic.
Then I got to push you back, right?
Don't push me out of the way.
If you push me, then I got to push you back, right?
Calm down.
Right, I'm calm. Yeah, but Ronnie, let me get on the other side of you. Excuse me. Let me get on this side. Let me get on this side. You're on my wrong side here, right?
Now look at the kid. Now we got the
you're tangled, Ronnie.
What's the difference?
Ronnie, you're tangled.
Ronnie.
All right. So,
you're tangled.
All right, easy. Take it easy. All right, so the police officers came up.
Right.
Elliot pulled into this garage across the street with a rental truck.
Right.
Okay. He pulled into the driveway. It's like a ramp that goes down.
Right.
Obviously, the truck was too high.
Right.
And he tore down a sign or something.
Right.
Isn't that what we just said, right, Ronnie? Yeah. Isn't that what we just said?
Hold on, Elliot.
Well, we just said that, right?
Let him
but
finish.
Howard, let me ask you something. Isn't this a bunch of poppycock and boulder dash and hogwash? Isn't this a lot of jibber jabber?
Let me just
that's going nowhere, right?
Well,
that's going nowhere, right?
It's going somewhere. Go ahead, Ryan.
Elliot,
Take the microphone.
Elliot, every second that you talk is a second that you don't get the plug.
What's going nowhere is your right.
What's going nowhere is you may have to leave in a few minutes.
Why? What did the cops say?
I can leave any time I want. But the cops said I'm doing what I want here, right?
What did the cops say? Ronnie, what did the cops say?
The cops said they took his friend that he brought along with him from Screw Magazine.
Right, right.
They're going to put him in the truck now because they pulled the truck out of
All they're doing is putting him in the truck, right? And they're letting him sit in the truck until I get there, right? In any event, anybody...
Well, let us hear the end of the story that Ronnie's telling.
That's the end of the story. So they're waiting in the truck,
so what is the end of the story?
Joe Gallant is waiting in the truck, right?
Joe went to sit in the truck, but if there is a problem with the supervisor, the police officer supervisor, that they want him to come down there,
right?
They're going to come back up and they're going to take him.
Could they do that?
So they can take him at any time.
I want him to drag him out on the air.
Right. They're going to drag me out, but I don't see him dragging me out on the air.
I didn't say they were going to drag you out, Elliot.
So
did I say that?
What did you say?
I said if they need you, I said if they need you, they'll come back for you. All right?
All right. Let's move on.
They don't need me.
Why are you so aggravated?
Here's another issue.
I'm not aggravated.
The other issue.
The other issue in Elliot's life is that tomorrow, according to Howard 100 News, is the big day. Tomorrow, I believe Elliot's being evicted from his apartment.
Oh, yeah. I heard that on the news.
That's why I was saying maybe you don't have an address.
No, the reason you heard it wrong, right? You know, you always get the information upside down, backwards, inside out, right? The real scoop is when I was in the court, right? It's a very personal issue. Gary told me not to go too far and expose the whole expose. So he's like putting a gag into my mouth.
Right. Well, you're libeling and slandering.
Because he's going to be sued. Libel is okay as long as it's the truth, right?
No.
But in any event, it's a personal issue. So I did offer the court, right? A matter of fact, right, Gary? 23 dimes, right?
And they reported that. The news reported that you made the offer, and the landlord decided
and
that...
let me tell you what the landlord said to me. I told him, like, I didn't have the money. It was my brother's money, right?
Right.
The landlord accused me of being a liar. He said that he knows that's my money, and I perjured myself in court that I said it was my brother's money.
But he doesn't want your money under any...
I don't think he wants it, but the bottom line is he doesn't want anybody's money.
Said he just wants you to move out.
He doesn't want it, so now...
He doesn't want your money.
So what we had to do, we went down yesterday and we ran, right, in a hurry for a federal appeal, right? Not a state appeal, to show that this is a personal... And I can't use the next word. A lot of
personal
issues,
thing.
Right, personal thing. Gary is very careful here so they don't get sued again. Okay, so in any event, all right, they're very careful.
Elliot, let's plug your video. Let's plug your video.
Violet dehumanizes Elegant
Elliot's video.
Got a truckload of them down.
Violet dehumanizes Elegant Elliot.
Can be purchased at
adult bookstores in Manhattan.
Yes, but most importantly, excuse me, right? At 693 8th Avenue with Arnold Martin proprietor, 44th and 8th Avenue, and Elegant Elliot today, right, will be doing an autograph signing, photo session shooting between 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. as all of us prime time, big time, front and center marquee celebrities too, right?
Where will you go when you're evicted?
Violet, there's a good question from Robin. And Violet is trying to arrange with for her two children, her two beautiful children to look like her, right? She has two little babies. Violet Maliver, right? She's trying to arrange to be there, too. You know, the girl that looks like she just jumped out of a Playboy magazine? Violet Maliver.
Where will you go when you're evicted? Do you have a place planned?
Well, that's the point.
Did the federal appeal work, yes or no?
Yes or no?
The federal appeal is going to be decided today, right?
All right.
Now, if the federal appeal is denied, right, then I just move in with April, my former fiance, right, who you did the crib show with, right?
Or
with Violet Maliver, right?
Would Violet want you to move in with April, though?
Either one. I have my option, right?
If you were a woman, wouldn't you want him to move in with the other woman? I would.
They're both in my video.
Isn't federal court...
Listen, let me... This is going to go on and on. All right. Listen to me. Elliot, you have been a guest on the show many times. I want to thank you for...
And you told me you're taking me with you to Sirius.
All right. Hold on.
Right?
Hold on. First of all, let me thank you for all the years of coming in.
Right.
He's shocked.
He's shocked.
I'm not shocked. I said right.
Okay.
I'm never shocked.
All right. Thank you for coming in and doing this.
I shock the world by breaking fingers, right? By punching.
Thank you.
Remember when I broke the first wife's fingers? I shocked the world by breaking fingers, smashing face, and going through the whole world and gouging eyes out.
Listen to me.
Right?
Listen to me. Thank you for the years of coming on the show. We remember many, many moments where you were here and created some wild radio.
How's the guns looking, by the way? How the guns looking? All right. Go ahead, Howard.
For once, listen.
All right, go ahead. Right.
Also, on December 16th for my final show, when we lock arms outside.
Could we just lock him up?
You are welcome to join us and say a farewell to the audience. A brief farewell to the audience.
Robin, if you try to lock me up, then I'm going to do to you what I did to my first wife, right? Okay. Go ahead. Yes, we can lock arms, Howard. Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of people will lock arms downstairs.
You lock arms.
It's going to be a big show.
Is this a formal invitation, Howard?
Everyone is invited.
Is this a formal invitation for Elegant, right?
Yes.
Okay.
All fans are invited.
Right.
And Violet. Bring Violet.
And Violet, too.
Okay. And Violet Malibu, yes. Right, thank you.
And he said you could say a few words.
All right.
A few, like 5.
Right.
Okay. And that's it.
But what's a 5 means to like 50 to me, right?
All right. 50 of your words.
There you go. Again, I do it my way, right?
We'll be walking down to 48th
I do it
Street
my
and making
way.
a right.
At 44th, by the way.
After I address the crowd, and I've said my final farewell, and the show is over at 10 o'clock, I will then walk all of my stuff up the street to my new home.
Could he borrow your truck?
And I will also be planning. I will also be planning a special something for my audience.
Right.
On that day. I don't know what it is yet. I'm working on something.
Contaminants and carcinogens in your food variety?
No.
Right.
Okay.
Some contaminants and carcinogens?
Anyway, I want to thank you for the years of you being here.
You've been a great
guest.
Wow, coming from Robin Quivers and Howard Stern, the people that have this cornucopia, this reservoir, this unlimited, inexhaustible supply of cash. My favorite nutrient, cash.
All right, Ralph, go ahead. You're on the air.
Can you imagine this guy living in your building?
Well, that's why he was a victim.
I'll tell you what. Why do you think he's a victim?
I mean, it must be nonstop.
Right. Why don't you come down here so I can punch you out and take your eyes out? 40 West 57th Street, 14th floor.
I think the cops
show me what you have. Right. Why don't you come right up here? 40 West 57th Street, 14th floor.
Because by the time I get to the cops, I'll have you locked up.
I want to look at you right now. Come up quick. Come up quick. Come up quick,
right.
scum.
All the audience heard was right.
No, they heard everything, enema bag. They heard everything, dirtbag, douchebag, enema bag.
I was talking to some of the women that work here.
Yeah.
And I was asking them who their least favorite guest was that comes up here. Yeah. And it's a tie between Jeff the Drunk and Elliot.
The most hated guest of all time,
most frightening, not when he's dressed as a woman, but when he's dressed as a man.
All right. Well, Elliot, thank you. And again, your video, I know you'll be signing today. Where are we going to be again? Quickly.
Quick signing, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. 693 8th Avenue, corner of 44th and 8th. The funny store, Arnold Martin, owns the store. The video, Violet dehumanizes Elegant Elliot on VA. Get on to your tombstone. Come up here in a hurry. Come up here in a hurry.
Captain, say something nicely.
Hey, Elliot, I wanted to say thank you very much for all the years that you hurt my ears on Howard Stern Show.
That's all right. I appreciate it. I'm going to keep hurting your ears. Make sure you don't come too close to me so I don't bite your ear off like they did in Tyson and Holyfield, right?
Would you do
so
me...
I don't bite your ears off,
would
right?
Would you do me a favor and die?
So I don't bite your ears off. So I don't bite your ears off. Come up quickly.
Would you do me a favor?
Show me that you're not a yellow rat and a yellow dog.
You suck.
Come up here. Show me you're not a yellow rat.
You suck.
So I can bite your ears off, right? I want to bite your ears off. I want to punch your eyes out right now.
You
Do me
suck.
a favor. Come up here.
I'm coming down
come
to the
the
bookstore.
Mondrian, 250
I'm coming down.
East 54th Street.
I'm coming down to your appearance.
We'll
All right,
stand
Elliot,
outside and we're going to wait for you.
I'm coming down to your
We're
appearance.
going to wait for you, douchebag.
I'm coming down. I'm going to kick your ass.
Elliot,
thank you.
We're going to wait for you. I'm
say goodbye
going to leave you for dead. I'm going to leave you for dead.
Say goodbye.
I'm going to leave you for dead.
Elliot,
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you.
Say goodbye
to
the
the audience.
broadcasting audience.
Say goodbye.
In any event,
and we'll see you on the other side.
You'll see me December 16th.
Right. We'll see you there.
For the farewell.
Okay.
One more time, if you need the video, 11:30 to 1:30, 44th and 8th. Funny Store today. Autograph picture signing. Howard, Robin, Gary Dell'Abate. Thank you very much, Fred.
And good luck with that.
And December 16th.
Right. Thank you, Elegant Elliot Offen.
Goodbye, Elliot.
Wow. What an appearance. He is leaving. He's taking his Screw magazine. He's going to go figure out his whole deal.
Right.
I love him. I love him.
Yeah. God, first of all, I'm listening to the news on our thing. And it's a 6-minute report. They followed Elliot to court. So
because he's in a beef with his landlord.
Yeah, you got to. Maybe I'll play it now. Should I play it?
It's so good. Gangsta talk for disagreement.
Right. You got to hear this report. Okay, this you're going to love. And I don't know how many people hear it at the other place yet. So our reporter follows Elliot to court, where Elliot is in a proceeding with his landlord. The landlord wants him out of the building, and he didn't even want money anymore. He just wants him out. Elliot came up with the money to even pay him.
Yeah, he said, no, I don't want your money.
He said, I just need this guy out of here because I'm going to kill myself. So afterwards, Elliot has a breakdown. You know, he's screaming and yelling. And then
Is that because he loses?
Yeah, our report. I'm just going through. Yeah, well, something goes on. I don't even know.
Okay.
Our reporter decides to get in a cab with Elliot and interview him.
Well, there's a
Elliot starts freaking out that the reporter. This is all legit, but that the reporter has been leaving him harassing phone calls and harassing him. And the reporter's like, well, I think I called you once. There's a whole thing going on. And by the end of the report, Elliot jumps out of the taxi cab they're in, opens the door. The cab,
it's moving.
I don't know. It stopped. The cab gets hit by another car. The whole door gets taken off. And Elliot jumps out of the cab and runs away.
He laughs like De Niro in Cape Fear. He's maniacal.
Yeah, I heard there was a maniacal laugh involved.
And this is all captured for your... I don't even know if I have it anymore.
Oh, you have to have it now.
What did I do with it, Gary? Oh, here it is. H100 News. There we go. All right. This is it. It's a fairly long report, but it's compelling as hell.
He does a great job, the reporter, I have to say. And he's got balls of steel.
The news director, this woman, Liz, says to me, I told him to not go in the cab with Elliot. It's too dangerous. And he disregarded.
Went anyway?
He went anyway with Elliot.
And she told him definitely don't go in the apartment.
Right. She would not let him up in the apartment.
Because he was headed towards Elliot's apartment, right?
She said, do not go into Elliot's apartment.
It's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
This is Howard 100 News. I'm Ralph Howard.
And I'm George Flowers. Our top story. Stern whackpacker Elegant Elliot Offen certainly gives new meaning to the label whackpacker. Elliot was in a Manhattan courtroom fighting to stay in the apartment he owes back rent on. Back rent to the tune of $20,000. Howard 100 News reporter Steve Langford was also there, and his presence touched off a firestorm inside that courtroom, then spilled out into the streets of New York. Here's Steve now with the exclusive story that can only be described as bizarre.
Howard 100, world exclusive.
I'm sorry, where are we going, Elliot? I have to make a stop at Midtown, then we're going to the Mondrian, right?
Let's see, where do you want to go, Elliot?
We're making a stop, I just said. At 34th, please, sir, and first stop, 34th. 7th Avenue, then the Mondrian, 54th and 2nd.
Just getting in a New York City cab with enervating Elliot Offen on a freezing winter day is enough to make a newsman want to head off to Iraq, where war reporting might be safer and more peaceful.
Couldn't close that window.
No, because I like it ice cold. As a matter of fact, I got to take my jacket off. It's burning hot, right? Only the people that have diabetes and heart disease and cancer are cold, right? You got enough jackets on, right?
Rolling down his window isn't obnoxious enough, so at the next red light, Offen suddenly opens the taxi door in traffic to take off his coat.
You should have some like $100 bills to induce me to give you this interview. You should be paying me for the interview, right? Everybody, like, pays Elegant, right?
Howard 100 News has just covered the latest in Elliot Offen's battle with his New York landlord. A housing court judge ruling Offen will be evicted December 1st if he doesn't leave before. Offen tells the judge that this Howard 100 News reporter has been harassing him with phone calls. 15, he claims. In fact, only 2 calls were made to Offen.
What's your first name? All kidding aside. Steve, and your last name? I know you're going to give me a phony name because you don't want to be brought up on charges, but...
Elliot.
What's your last name? Don't give me all the circuitous, you like that word? Digressive double talk? What's your last name? Seriously.
The same last name it was last time.
Well, what is it? What is it? Don't tell me the last time.
Langford.
How do you spell it?
Langford.
Do you have an ID for that?
I just showed you.
You know, you flashed me something. I don't know what you flashed it in 1 second. Come on, Heavy. You know better than that. Can I look at it? Can I hold it? Right?
No,
right?
You can't hold it.
Right. You want to hold it 10 feet away from me. I can't see that. You're covering it up with your fingers, right?
This Howard 100 News reporter is heading to Elliot Offen's apartment for 2 reasons. To see what on earth it looks like, and to listen to Offen's alleged evidence that this reporter called Offen's apartment 15 times. The taxi ride to Offen's place is a real trip.
The Ford taxi driver needs a little peace.
Oh, come on, you're paying for the cab. We'll get another cab, right? He doesn't need peace, right? I'm the star, right? I'm on worldwide television. You're following me, right? Because whatever I do, like when I my ass, right? You like those words? Profanity, right? Everybody wants to know about it, right?
It's my next question about why Elliot would claim to object to the attention from Howard 100 News that makes Offen go thermonuclear.
Well, Elliot, if you're a star...
Not if. What do you mean if? What do you mean brain dead? What do you mean I'm on worldwide television with your boss, with Stern? What do you mean if?
So,
brain damaged, brain defective, right? Brain dead, brain deficient, right? Yes, Steve.
Elliot, if you're a star...
Not if, retard. Recall, reject.
At this point, it seems like a good time to call the boss, Howard 100 News Director Liz Aiello, to let her know where we're going with this story.
Liz, I just wanted to let you know where I am. I'm in the cab with Elliot. He's loud as usual. He wants me to go to his apartment to see evidence of 15 harassing phone calls.
From you, Steve! From you!
From me.
As the boss proceeds to tell me...
By the way, this guy Steve is really brave because who would go to Elliot's apartment?
I wouldn't go anywhere near them.
Well, Liz said, Steve, you are not to go in the apartment.
It just isn't worth taking the risk of going to Offen's apartment. Elliot takes a moment to yell into the phone to praise the work I'm doing.
Liz, do you realize whoever you are, that this is a complete flunky, a complete nobody, a beef stew. A complete beef stew, right? Well, then call off and get out. Just pay the cab fare, right? Just call it off, right? Call it off, right?
What I'll do is I'll tell Elliot. I'll tell you in a minute, but I'll ask him, if he does have evidence of these 15 phone calls that we've made that have harassed him.
I just told you I did. Open and shut, airtight, ironclad, right? Black and white.
I'm trying to listen to Liz.
I don't care what you're trying to do, right, Steve? Steve, as I would say to you in the street vernacular, I don't care if you live or die, Steve, right?
Liz,
Right?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye. Right, bye-bye.
Steve, how's that? How's that gangster line? I don't care if you live or die, right? Steve, isn't that great? I don't care, Steve, if you live or die. That's gangster talk, right?
Elliot Offen, armed with shtick that would make Don Rickles cringe, is a character much better experienced on radio than face-to-face. Nice talking to you, Elliot. Good luck finding an apartment to rent.
Well, listen, Elliot, I think we're going to pull over.
I figured that. Steve, I told you were a yellow, gutless, rat. Didn't I tell you?
Yes.
Just pay the cab, Steve.
Okay, Elliot.
Because I'm getting out.
Send us the evidence.
Laughing hysterically, Offen exits the cab, opening the door in traffic without even bothering to look, practically getting killed.
Luckily for him and unluckily for the cab driver, the back door is now a crumpled mess. We can only imagine what his apartment looks like. For Howard 100 News, I'm Steve Langford.
And despite the danger, Howard 100 News will continue to cover this really strange saga. And if armed marshals are forced to show up at Elliot's apartment, rest assured, we will be there as well.
Oh, I love it.
I said they should...
Oh, that's great.
That's a great report, isn't it?
Oh, I could hear it all over again.
Yeah, did you not hear that when it aired?
No.
Yeah, I was riveted.
This guy, he's a reporter, isn't it? This guy's calling him a retard.
Yeah. How's my Howard 100 News team? I mean, give them a round of applause.
Oh, very good. Very good.
I mean, give them a round of applause.
Could you just play that part where he's getting out of the cab?
I know.
I mean, that is just mind-blowing.
I know. The only thing wrong with that story is they didn't repeat that part.
In slow motion.
Yeah.
I think Elliot's starting to lose it.
Yeah, you know what? You always were good with people.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
I think he's starting to find it.
He opens the cab door right into traffic.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to play some moments next. Jim Brewer's stopping by. He's going to give us his favorite moment. I forgot all about this moment. Jim Brewer's favorite moment from our 20 years here.
Is that right? What was it?
It's great.
Yeah?
Yeah, I forgot all about it.
You're going to let him reveal it?
Yeah. Hey, Ron.
Now that I can talk.
Yeah.
So what really happened was the police were afraid. He pulled into his garage, tore down the sign, jumped out of the truck and ran.
Right.
To get here.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
They were afraid it was a terrorist attack.
Right?
Oh.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Right. So these guys that came up here, they were really nice to let him stay here and be on the air.
Right.
They were ready to yank him out of here.
Thank you, officers.
Right?
How did you know, those poor police officers, they got to deal with a city full of Elliot Offen.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
These guys deserve a medal. All right, we got to take a break. Jim Brewer stopping by.
Right?
After today, 12 shows left.
Right?
My friends.
Yeah.
And on the 12th day.
Right?
I'm going to go outside and say hi to everyone. If anyone wants to come down, I'm going to give my farewell address.
Right?
I'm not allowed. I'm going to do it outside the building, and then at 10 o'clock when the show's over, I'm going to walk all my stuff down the street.
You're going to continue on.
Yeah, you're invited to walk with me, and I'm trying to put together some special moment to thank you guys. Do something special for you. I would like to have this radio station do something special, but I don't think they're in the mood to be generous.
Right?
But although Tom did say to me there might be 10 grand that we're going to give away outside.
We'll see.
If not, I'll bring my own cash. Give away some cash.
So far, in your last year, they've done nothing special. So.
Yeah. The last year hasn't been that easy. But what I will do is invite everyone to walk with me and then follow me, and hopefully I can throw a little party for everyone.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working on, if I can do that. I don't even know yet. But in any case, I'd like the opportunity to go outside and thank everyone and bring everyone out from the show, and you know, a lot of the people who have contributed to the show. I want to invite, Dominic down here, and, of course, Beetlejuice, and the great Jeff the Drunk, and
Eric,
Elliot, and everyone, the whole gang, Captain Jack, everyone. Elephant Boy.
So Dominic's coming.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope everyone will show up.
Well, he wasn't going to be in the studio. That was the whole thing with Dominic.
Even guys from way back, Leslie West, everyone. Jim Brewer, come on by. Come say hi to the crowd.
I started to feel guilty about Dominic. I thought maybe he should be here.
Do you? Yeah, me too. Do you know what you're going to say to the crowd? You want to say a few words?
No, I got to prepare.
I'm preparing.
We all need to prepare a few words, I think.
I'm preparing a speech.
It's going to be something along the lines of a drunken fire.
See, I want to make a moving speech. I want to move the people.
I'm not going to move anybody.
But to me, the real moment will be when I grab all of our stuff, the Robo-Spanker, I'm going to take the Robo-Spanker, the tickle chair, the wheel of sex, load them onto a dolly, and walk my stuff up the street. And that will be my farewell. And I will broadcast most of that here, unless Tom decides to cut it off because I've walked too far. But I'll do the rest of my walk at 10.
I just thought of a great song that we should start the show with. The song starts, Walk With Me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Stay in My Corner.
Yeah, I don't even know that song.
It's an old song.
Yeah, I'm not playing that.
Stay in My Corner.
You keep that idea to yourself.
Come on, it's perfect words. Won't you stay in my corner?
Yes.
I think Highway to Hell is more appropriate.
And Walk With Me.
All right, let me take a break. We'll say hi to Jim Brewer, who's coming by. He's going to give us his favorite moment from the 20 years. And I think he's come up with a good one. I forgot all about this. We'll be back right after these words.
The Howard.
I'm Ralph Howard.
And I'm George Flowers. Our top story was a big day for landlord Dr. Edwin Tan. His tenant from hell, the Howard Stern whackpacker known as Elegant Elliot Offen, was to be forcibly evicted from his East Side Manhattan apartment and become homeless Elliot Offen. A martial arm of the court order and a sidearm was standing by. Elliot was inside apartment 35C. Howard 100's Steve Langford and Shuley were our reporters in waiting. They were standing in the hall outside the apartment. A day earlier, Offen had thrown a punch at Langford. Last week, Steve's life was endangered when Offen jumped out of a cab the two were riding in, causing a traffic accident. To a certain extent, Shuley was along this day as Langford's bodyguard. As usual, Offen made things as difficult as possible, as we hear in this report from Langford.
Howard 100. Team coverage.
9 a.m. sharp on the east side of Manhattan in a fancy apartment building as a New York City marshal knocks politely on the door of apartment 35C.
Who is it? City Marshal. Okay.
The marshal, who may or may not have a weapon, he won't tell us, is here to evict Elliot Offen for failing to pay rent for at least 6 months. This will not be an elegant exit.
Need you right now.
The landlords, a quiet, timid couple by the name of Edwin and Helen Tan, wait nervously in the hall as the marshal continues to try to get Elliot Offen to answer the door.
I need you. This is the marshal. I need you to open the door now, sir.
This little game of knock-knock gets old fast, dragging on for close to 5 minutes when finally Elliot consents to open the door, bolted with 4 different locks.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? All right. Maybe 2 seconds here. Sure. The landlord is outside. Right.
Sounding remarkably calm, Offen lets the marshal in, who closes the door and explains to this delinquent devil it's time to go. But don't hold your breath here.
Hello? Hello?
A locksmith is standing by to change all 4 locks on the front door, while a moving crew is ready to get Elliot's possessions out.
Who is it out there?
The movers.
Oh, the movers. Okay. Come in. Come in. To see you, guy. Are you the mover? Yeah. Come in. Come in. Come in. Come in.
But as this eviction plods on at a snail's pace, Elliot Offen begins to ramp up the rant, particularly when he hears the locks being changed.
Fucking joint, right? Elliot.
The landlords finally get a peek inside their apartment for the first time in well over a year, and it is one disgusting dump.
What does the apartment look like? The kitchen looked like Hiroshima.
And that's before the shell-shocked landlord has had a chance to see the bathroom.
Feces, that's all over in the bathroom.
The owner, so shaken up by what he sees, can barely spit out the sentence, but later tells me the bathroom walls are smeared with excrement.
Is it a supermodel? Is it Elliot Offen? No, it is Elliot Offen.
In another nice touch, Offen begins to blast the sound of his DVD called Violet dehumanizes Elegant Elliot.
15 police vehicles, a helicopter, 25 detectives, right? There's the rap sheet, 13 arrests, the rap sheet, 13 felony convictions.
Then Elliot, dressed in his standard tank top, his hair long, stringy, and greasy, opens the door to see the Howard 100 news crew waiting outside.
There he is.
Good morning.
The sight of this reporter only seems to work up Elliot even more.
Yeah, what do you want, guys? Are you waiting for me for Elegant?
I don't know. You want to talk to him?
What do you mean you don't know? You sound like you're dead weight. Are you waiting for me or not? Yes, no, this guy's more alive than you. I like this guy. What's your name, sir?
Shuley.
Shuley. Hey, Shuley?
Yeah, Shuley.
You see, gotta get rid of this fucking guy. Guy's like dead weight. In the meantime, the first comment is I just made a hit. I made a swing. I just beat him, right? I burned him for 23 dimes, right? Gangster talk. Elliot.
This may be a court-ordered eviction supervised by a city marshal, but apparently no one is going to tell Elliot Offen it's time to leave. It's his circus, and he'll rant if he wants to.
He went haywire. He went completely bonkers. He went out of his mind. He freaked out.
Mercifully, more than an hour, one long hour after Offen unlocked the door to his pig pen of an apartment, his pal Rob finally starts telling Elliot it's time to say goodbye.
Elliot, let's go. Come on.
On Tan's going downstairs?
Yeah.
Okay. So who's staying in the apartment?
No, they're going to wait here.
No, who's staying in the apartment? The movers. Just the movers, okay. Guys? Okay. You're just going to keep piling everything out.
The expression, "it's all over but the shouting," clearly does not apply to this freak show of an eviction, as just trying to get Elliot Offen into the elevator turns into a whole psychodrama of its own.
Wait a minute, excuse me. Excuse me. Elliot. I got my fingers here. Open this up.
For Howard 100 News, I'm Steve Langford.
Needless to say, Elliot was an unhappy camper, although it's not certain where Elliot will be camping tonight. As we heard, Shuli was there too for Howard 100 News, and Shuli spoke with the homeless one after his apartment door closed behind him for the last time.
Shuli here for Howard 100 News. I had a chance to interview Elliot Offen one-on-one with much less anger than he has for Steve Langford. In some weird way, he feels comfortable around me, and that pretty much creeps me out more than anything else. So here is my exclusive interview with Elegant Elliot Offen. Shuli here for Howard 100 News with Elegant Elliot Offen in his former residence, because officially today, as of 8:45, 9 a.m., he has been evicted from his apartment. And Elliot, I'd like to thank you for giving me this exclusive interview.
That's right, Shuli, and I appreciate you coming down. You know, the funny thing about, if 200 million people got evicted in America, you don't give a fuck, right? Nobody cares, right? Everybody's getting evicted one way or another, right? It's just amazing. It's so complimentary, and it's so flattering to myself, Elegant Elliot Offen. Prime time, big time, marquee, opening night, award-winning celebrity for Howard Stern, that every time I scratch my dick, every time I wipe my ass, you guys are following me all around. I hate to use it in the vernacular, but that's the way it is. Am I that important in the life of Sirius and Howard Stern? That's my question. Sirius is a pretty big company, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's only getting bigger every day.
Isn't it true that you gave Howard Stern like $500 million, your company?
That's correct. That's the reported amount.
So you're a pretty big company.
That's right.
And you mean a company that gave Howard Stern $500 million is coming and following every eyelash and eye wink of Elegant Elliot Offen? That's self-explanatory, right?
Absolutely.
You must consider Elegant a pretty damn valuable, right?
Absolutely.
If your biggest company is following me all around town?
Right.
And you're part of
Howard 100 News.
Howard 100. This is going to be Howard's new station, is it not?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is going to be the home of Howard Stern.
In this clip here, Elliot briefly describes his relationship with his ex-landlords, the Tans. One thing I learned from listening to this, crazy people cannot do math.
Relationship. Now understand, right? Because if you want the documentation, I'll come to your office with it. I gave Edwin Tan, to this point in time, like 100 dimes. That's gangster talk for 100,000. 100,000. In other words, you figure it out. You got a computer, right? Calculator? $3,300 a month, right? I'm giving you the right figures, right?
That's true. We've confirmed that with Mr. Tan.
3,300 times whatever, 2.5 years, plus, to this moment, he still has 10 dimes of my security. So you figure all that math out, right? You got pretty close to 100 big ones I gave him, right?
So you don't feel bad for any things that you say about Mr. Tan or Mrs. Tan?
Not only don't I have any remorse, no regret, no recriminations, right? No remorse, no regret, no recriminations.
Right here we have creepy moment number 2 from today, is when I truly bonded with the elegant one, Elliot Offen. First I want to ask you, why such a scene on your last day that you're moving out? The yelling, the screaming, what is that about?
Do me a favor.
Sure.
It's never yelling and screaming, because you know what screaming is. Screaming is, ah!
It's a crescendo.
Shuli, I love you, babe. You're a big-time guy. It's my crescendo, it's my projection, it's my trajectory, it's my amplification, right?
Right.
Okay, now we understand what that is. Why all that?
Why all the crescendo, Elliot?
The crescendoing is, by virtue that I wanted, I was a bit like, for the lack of a better word, I was a bit pissed off and ticked off.
What's next for Elegant Elliot Offen?
I want to be candid with you. I'm stretched out broke. I don't have I don't have a quarter left. I'm being, this was pretty accurate. I'm going to be looking for my next hot meal. As a matter of fact, John's going to see me here, right? I'm going to be standing here with a cup. You can laugh all you want, right? You're going to see me here with a cup getting dollar bills, all right? Stranger things have happened, right?
And finally, Elliot lays out his last-ditch effort, his last plea to anyone who will listen. There are a lot of versions of this story. It's tough to tell who's telling the truth and who's not. But one thing I can tell you folks, a guy who cross-dresses and jogs down Midtown Manhattan might not be all there. Any messages before I leave you? Any final messages from Elliot Offen?
The final message is, I'm in desperate financial situation right now. I don't have my next meal, and you can think it's a con, and you can think it's another one of my fabrications, my concoctions, but I'm being pretty damn candid with you. Well, I have very little cash left. I got a few bucks. I'll probably be sleeping under the train.
And I'm George Flowers, and our top story, it was a situation made for chaos, and it went pretty much as expected. After months of legal wrangling, bitterness, and terrifying conduct, the wackiest of the whackpackers, Elegant Elliot Offen, was evicted from his Manhattan apartment today. A major victory for the landlord who, well, no longer cared about the thousands in back rent even. He simply wanted to get Elliot out of the apartment and out of his life. The big showdown finally arrived, and of course, Howard 100 News was there. We have team coverage, starting with reporter Steve Langford.
Howard 100 team coverage.
Drop pants! Drop pants! Right? We're gonna hang him! We're gonna hang him, right?
More than an hour into evicted Elliot Offen's long, drawn-out final exit from the New York apartment he hasn't paid rent on in more than 6 months, the big mouth certainly sounds like he isn't going down without a fight.
The movers are here. You gotta get inside. These guys got the hell in. Step outside. They're in here, right here.
The traumatized landlords, a nice couple from Long Island named Edwin and Helen Tan, cower in the hall, while Offen is finally persuaded to give it up and get in the elevator.
Okay, Rob. Yeah, you got the door locked here. They can't get my goods out, right? I'm Marshall. You got the movers here. What's happening?
But not so fast. He may just have been evicted, but Elliot's going to play getting thrown out on the street for all it's worth.
I'm not going in the freight elevator. A regular elevator. I'm going to tell them. Let them go. Let the big let the bums go on a freight elevator. Let the bums go on a freight elevator. Right?
A city marshal carrying out the eviction order is curiously low-key about getting Offen out of the building. And so when Elliot refuses to take a freight elevator that shows up first, Offen is allowed to continue yelling to his heart's delight.
He went ballistic. He went haywire. He went completely bonkers.
Then, astonishingly, Offen's permitted to confer down the hall with his pal Rob. After another 10 minutes, Elliot approaches the elevators once again.
All right, here we go. We're ready. Right here.
But waiting for another elevator to arrive is yet another opportunity to heap more abuse on the landlords who've already suffered so much. Listen, as Mrs. Tan finally can't take it anymore and tells Elliot to put a sock in it.
Think of an answer. Think of an answer, right? Think of your answer.
Mercifully, elevator doors open, and Elliot Offen gets in with this reporter and Shuley. But still, Elliot's not going just yet. He tries to open the car doors.
Wait a minute, excuse me. Excuse me. Elliot. I got my fingers here. Open this up. I don't know. Here you go. Okay.
Elliot, let's go.
Elliot's pal Rob and the city marshal gently try to convince Offen to get back in the elevator and leave already.
Elliot, let's go.
Yeah.
That's something you want to do. You gotta go. You gotta go.
Nixon left the White House easier than Elliot's being dragged out of this apartment.
Berserk and ballistic, right? That's why the relationship disintegrated, right?
At last, Elliot Offen, Shuley, and this reporter get in the elevator to head down to the lobby. The city marshal declines to ride along. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Now, you guys know why I consented? You know I don't consent to nothing to leave the floor. So I got Rob up there, right? How does Rob look, right?
Who is Rob?
Forget about it. How does he look, right? He looks like a trained killer, right? Right? Forget about who he is, right?
Exiting Elliot Offen is in no mood to deal with one reporter's questions. It does make you wonder, Is Elliot finally going to snap and really hit somebody?
You like the maniacal laugh? Right? The laugh that can blow off the roof? Right?
An apartment building lobby has never looked so good as the elevator doors open and we arrive in one piece.
How are you?
Elliot tries to turn on the charm for the doorman, who has got to have orders to get off and out quickly and peacefully.
John, I only have a couple of C notes left here. Do you have change? Do you have change of a yardstick?
No, don't. But the landlords suddenly appear again in the lobby, which gives the loudest man in New York the chance to do a little more yelling.
I'm getting my furniture out like whether you live or die, right?
For someone who's just been evicted by court order, Elliot Offen sure gets to hang out for what seems like an eternity.
So, Elliot, do you...
What? Excuse me, right? I'm giving the man money first, right?
So do you want to...
Excuse me, I'm doing it my way, right? Doing it my way. He gets the money first.
It sounds like an exit interview with this reporter's out of the question. So my colleague Shuley, who's clearly on better terms with Elliot Offen, will get the honors. As this reporter leaves the building terrorized by Elliot Offen for more than 2 years. A final word with the visibly shaken landlord who still can't believe his long national nightmare is over.
Finally, it's over? Well, as I'm watching the moving vans, I hope that this is a final chapter in the very, very hellish life that we have led for the past 2.5 years. Our life had been irreparably damaged by this person. I don't want to say anything bad because I never say anything bad about anybody, but just that we have suffered tremendously, and I'm just trying to see a blue sky tomorrow.
But he's finally out of your apartment.
I hope so, forever out of our life.
For Howard 100 News, I'm Steve Langford.
So, where will Elliot live, and how did he get all that stuff out of his apartment? As is always the case with Elliot, the answers are complicated. Howard 100 Shuley has that part of the story.
December 1st, 2005 will forever be known as Elegant Elliot Offen's E-Day, Eviction Day. Today was the day that the law came crashing down and caught up with Elegant Elliot Offen. I was on the scene, along with Steve Langford, to cover this story exclusively for Howard 100 News. The first part of this story has to deal with moving companies. While we were there and Elliot was being evicted, a moving company had shown up and began to pack all his belongings. Or as he calls them, goods, which is gangster talk for stuff. An hour into the packing, a second moving company showed up. Not because Elliot has so many goods, but because Elliot booked 2 moving companies and did not even bother to call them to inform them that their services are no longer needed. I had a chance to speak with a gentleman who works for Mazel Tov Moving Company. Now you work for a moving company, correct?
Mazel Tov Movers.
And you showed up here about half hour ago because you got a call for an emergency move.
Right.
You left a job that you were in the middle of to come move this guy out.
That's right.
And what did he tell you?
Well, he said we were about an hour late and he has a move out already, so we would have to get us to leave.
So now you guys have to get some sort of payment from him for coming down here.
Yes, standard practice, you have to pay a cancellation fee.
And then what is that fee?
The fee is like $250. Normally an hour and a half of the regular fee.
You think you're gonna get it?
It's questionable, very questionable.
A fee of $250 is what Elliot needs to pay for wasting these guys' day. He explains to this gentleman that he won't be getting his money today, and definitely not from him. This clearly upsets the gentleman from Mazel Tov Moving, and he decides to call his boss to let him speak to Elliot over the phone and possibly work something out with him. Apparently, this gentleman has never dealt with Elliot before. Good luck.
I called him. I asked him for you. They already had the stuff 90% packed. I mean, what do you want me to say? I mean, you want me just to hand... I'm not disputing that. Eli, I hear you. Eli, right now, I'm being serious with you. I'm like down to my last meal. I'm not kidding you. I'm down to my last few bucks. Look, I'm basically a nice guy. You know who I am. I'm Elegant Elliot. I do long distance running as a girl, right in front of the whole world. I go through the whole world as a girl. Eli, I'm going to get it to you I'll try to make it up to you some way, even if I have to promote you, your company. Shuli, I want you to know, Mazel Tov movers. Hold on, I'm giving you better than money. That means you think I'm soft. Nobody in the world can think Elegant Elliot is soft, right? If I give you money which is not rightfully coming to you, that I didn't cause the traffic delay. That wasn't my doing. So then, in other words, you think I'm like soft. I have to make my statement that not only is that categorically false, but I'm like the roughest and toughest they fucking come in, right?
After being escorted down to the lobby, Elliot was told specifically to not return upstairs to his floor to his apartment. Elliot went back up after being told he was not allowed to go up anymore. And why did he go up? To grab 2 large clear trash bags filled with papers. My question to Elliot, what type of papers are they?
Bookmaking slips, right? Gambling slips, right? Incriminating evidence, right? Wanted to get that out quick, right? We didn't want the incriminating evidence in the joint, right? By the way, Shuli, everything I just said, I'm just kidding, right?
Right.
Hey, we're just kidding, right? I don't want you to take me serious, right? No, I got some old bills in here, right? I got to sort all the old bills, all the credit card bills. Listen, one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to, when I said, what do I know about gambling, bookmaking? What do I know about that, right? It's part of the routine, it's nothing. I make sure I throw it in the fucking East River, though. You like that, right? Yeah. Right?
This was just a taste of what Elliot had in store for us today. As you know, his relationship with Steve Langford is a bruised one, so he made it clear that he would not be speaking to Langford at all today. At least not in a nice tone.
Your reporter, Steve Langerhan, I know it's Langford. Right. I know what it is name. Steve Langerhan changed his name. In Jewish, you're not supposed to change a person's name unless they're dying. Right. Maybe I'm hoping that Langerhan is dying, right? Okay.
For Howard 100 News, this is Shuli saying, Shalom, Elegant Elliot's apartment.
My God. Steve Langford and Shuli join us now here in the studio. Gentlemen, have we heard the last, please say yes, from Elliot for a while?
I would have to say absolutely not. A man that loud and that obnoxious will not go away so quietly.
It reminds you of Dick Nixon, 62, saying you won't have, to paraphrase here, you won't have Elegant Elliot Offen to kick around anymore. Who knows, maybe he's going to run for president.
Right.
It's highly possible. It's totally unpredictable, that's for sure.
Steve, you've been face-to-face with this guy. We kind of laugh, but it's pretty terrifying.
Well, yeah, I mean... Yeah, it is. Because I figured, today was the 3rd time I was going to go face-to-face, toe-to-toe with Elegant Elliot. Because, after all, I was in the taxi cab with him where he almost caused a terrible accident. And it was violent, and it was frightening. But nobody really got hurt, except for the taxi driver who's got this door that's destroyed, and God knows what it did to his making a living. Then you have the parking lot the other day, where he drove the truck in and scared the living daylights out of everybody, thought it was a terrorist attack, and destroyed a sign at that parking lot. So today, you're thinking you're in the elevator with him. Shuli, I was glad you were there. No kidding.
It's the first time that someone was glad that I was there for a fight. 5'7" and $140.
So, one quick final question. Do either one of you think that perhaps you should take anger management lessons from Mike Tyson, perhaps?
I think if he shows up to an anger management group meeting, every single person in that group will go insane.
But you know what I do think? If he's looking for a place to live, and given the state of his bathroom, of course, the guy said there was excrement all over the place, maybe he and High Pitch could get together.
A new bosom buddies.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. That's Steve Langford and Shuli here in the studio with us.
Thanks, guys.
With George Flowers, Erica Phillips, and the Howard 100 News Team. Now, Howard 100 News. Midday Edition.
Elliot Offen is involved in a traffic accident in which a woman dies. We'll have the latest.
I'm going to do as much porn as I possibly can.
John the Stutterer, his new porn flick, one of the film chicks and their connection to the Sibian.
It didn't look like it looked like an office to me. It was above
it wasn't a rehab place. It was just like an office.
KC allegedly cheats a Jessica Hahn assistant out of some money after he collateralizes a loan from her with a watch that Howard gave him.
You know, he's so kind off the air, and on the air, he'll just rip me to shreds. I mean, he just tears me apart.
Is Howard Stern a wild and quirky kind of guy? Some people think so, and we're going to explain. This is the Howard 100 News Midday Edition. I'm Erica Phillips.
And I'm George Flowers. Our top story: the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and the strange get stranger. Whackpacker Elliot Offen has been connected now to the death of a 73-year-old Manhattan woman. We broke the story Wednesday on the Howard 100 Evening News. And here with us in the studio, reporter Mike Piazza.
Thank you, George. Erica. As reported, Howard 100 News, acting on a tip, began investigating whackpacker Elliot Offen's involvement in a December 15th car accident that led to the serious injury and eventual death of Reva Ullman. Ms. Ullman, accompanied by her companion Leonard Shear, were, according to the police report provided to Howard 100 News, waiting to cross the street, the intersection of East 82nd Street and York Avenue in Manhattan, when a budget rent-a-van driven a truck drove into Ms. Ullman, propelling her an estimated 20 feet across the street. Ms. Ullman's injuries led to her eventual death December 28th at New York Presbyterian Hospital. I spoke with her companion Leonard Shear, who, after consulting with his attorney, chose not to speak on tape. Michael Eidman, Mr. Shear's attorney, gave this assessment of the situation.
There's several levels of problems I have. Number one is the problem of client confidentiality, which obviously is paramount in terms of what I do. And number two, even if it wasn't a question of keeping things confidential, it wouldn't be right for me to say something that could put him in any type of negative light, which I don't necessarily think is the case here, but be that as it may. And all I will say is that it's been a very, very difficult situation for him since this happened.
Yes, apparently they were romantically linked.
Yes, this has been a very, very difficult situation.
Howard 100 News is now obtaining the police's accident report, which clearly labeled the event an accident with no charges filed against Elliot Offen. We are petitioning New York City's police department for interviews with both the detective on the case and the police officer who responded to the scene that night. In our investigation, we spoke to Danny, Ms. Ullman's son, who refused to speak on tape, but did go on the record with Howard 100 News with his feelings about his mother's death. Danny told us the following. A number of the hospital doctors told him, judging from the extent of his mother's injuries, the driver of the vehicle could not have been doing the speed limit. He told us his family is exploring all avenues, including legal, to get some closure to this tragedy. He doesn't believe the driver was given a breathalyzer test, and he seriously doubts his mother and Mr. Shear were, as the police report states, standing in the middle of the street. And Danny wondered out loud if the police just took the word of the driver when filing his report. Erica, George?
A very complex and obviously a very tragic story, Michael, and you'll have more for us at 6 o'clock. Is that
We will have more at 6, and Steve is following up on another aspect of the story, and he'll be in about a half hour with that information.
That's Steve Langford, Howard 100 News reporter. Your Flowers, our top story: Elliot Offen. Often loud, obnoxious, and sometimes frightening. Confrontations with Elliot Offen difficult, but one elderly Manhattan woman found the confrontation deadly. In mid-December, Offen was involved in a truck accident with a woman who died a couple of weeks later. Howard 100 News reporter Steve Langford has been investigating the story. He joins us now live here in the studio with the details. Stephen?
George, 73-year-old Reva Ullman, standing by an Upper East Side street corner in Manhattan December 15th, hit violently by a truck driven by Elliot Offen, according to the NYPD. The force of the collision so great, Ullman was thrown about 20 feet. 2 weeks later, Reva Ullman died of her injuries. Howard 100 News confirmed the story, then called Elliot Offen to get his response. Here now the voicemail message Elliot Offen left on this reporter's office phone in response to questions about his role in the senseless death of Reva Ullman.
Listen, I don't know why you're calling me and bothering me and hassling me, right? Haranguing me and harassing me. Didn't I tell you in front of the civil court judge, right, at 111 Center Street? Didn't I embarrass you and disgrace you and humiliate you and tell the judge that you were harassing me and calling my phone 30 times? Didn't I make it unmistakably, unequivocally, unconditionally, unambiguously clear for you never to call me again for the rest of your life, right? Until you die, and after that too, never to call me again. In the words of Violet, what do you want? And drop dead, nigga!
To respond or forward, press 1.
To respond to that message, here are the facts. Elliot Offen knows exactly why we're calling, to get his story about how and why Reva Ullman died. Elliot Offen knows that a reporter calling him for comment on a story as serious as this has nothing to do with harassment. Elliot Offen knows that when Howard 100 News covered his legal problems in court, that calling that coverage harassment is nothing but a sick, sad smokescreen. And as for Elliot Offen's final message to Howard 100 News in response to questions about the brutal death of Reva Ullman, when Offen says, quote, "drop dead nigger," well, that comment speaks for itself and speaks volumes in response to a question we'd like to have asked Elliot Offen. Do you have any remorse? Howard 100 News has spoken to Reva Ullman's brother. He was there that night with his sister when the truck smashed into her, propelling her into the air. The victim's brother tells us Elliot Offen did not get out of the truck after the crash for a long time. The brother telling Howard 100 News he's not happy with how this tragedy was investigated. All told, an unspeakable story of the death of a 73-year-old woman in such a horrific fashion, a story that will certainly continue to develop as Howard 100 News pursues the investigation of this tragedy.
Steve, it sounds like elegant Elliot Offen may respond to your response. If he's listening right now, could we expect perhaps a phone call?
You know what I'd be more interested in? His response to the family.
Yeah.
There was none that night of the accident, it sounds like.
It doesn't sound like it.
No. The strange and twisted tale of Elliot Offen. Thank you, Steve. Steve Langford, Howard 100 News reporter.
You're listening to the Howard 100 News.
Story Howard 100 News has a major update now on that fatal traffic accident involving Elliot Offen, the often outrageous whackpacker. It happened in Manhattan. The victim, a 73-year-old woman. She died 2 weeks after she was struck by a van driven by Elliot. Now, in this exclusive report, Howard 100 News learns that a criminal investigation is getting underway. For the very latest, here's Howard 100 News reporter Mike Piazza.
Howard 100 Exclusive.
Howard, a highway patrol detective to the case of whackpacker Elliot Offen. A Detective Stockard will be investigating the now fatal December 15th accident that had Elliot Offen driving a budget rent-a-van southbound on York Avenue and striking both Ms. Reva Ullman and her companion Leonard Shear at the intersection of East 82nd Street and York Avenue in New York City. I spoke to a Lieutenant Kelly, Detective Stockard's commanding officer, who reviewed the basic accident report information with me.
82 in York. Do you know if she passed away?
She passed away on December 28th at New York Presbyterian Hospital. And the police officer who took the report we've had a first initial of M and the last name of Morales out of the 19th precinct.
Yes, in fact, we do have the case, and he has, in fact, been assigned to it.
He has?
Yes.
At what point does a criminal investigation get launched? What causes that to happen?
Well, there's newsworthy cases, bus into Midtown Manhattan, into, whatever.
Right.
Many people injured, death, serious injury, and likely to die. General serious injury, like serious injury, amputations, and so on. Depends on basically anyone's interpretation of what's a serious injury.
And what's the point of origin? Is it an attorney launching the investigation?
No, not at all. What happens is protocol, and what happens is that you'll have a precinct with a terrible accident who will notify their radio dispatcher, who will notify ours. Highway patrol gets involved then, goes to the hospital, checks the condition of what we call the victim. And if it turns out that they're in bad enough shape, they'll notify me, and I send my detectives out and do a full investigation.
Howard 100 News also spoke with a Myron Beldock. Mr. Beldock would not allow me to record the conversation, but would confirm that his firm has represented the current executor of the family's estate for a number of years. One of the most interesting points of my conversation was Mr. Beldock's observations about Elliot Offen's appearance at Howard Stern's December 16th rally. Mr. Beldock says he found it strange that Elliot would talk about a parking garage accident rather than striking a woman with a van the night before. For Howard 100 News, I'm Mike Piazza.
And Howard 100 News has been reporting for a while now on the theft of Sirius satellite radio broadcasts of the Howard Stern Show.
Let's go to Nat in Virginia. Nat, you're on the wrap-up show.
I was wondering, how come Elliot Offen wasn't on today? I thought he was booked for today.
That is an excellent question that I have no answer to. He was booked for today, and he just didn't show up, which is, I do have to say, we spoke on Thursday. He laid down his demands. Elliot has demands now. One of his demands was that Violet Maliva was able to come with him. And I said, yeah, if you want to bring Violet, you can bring her. And then he said, I just have to find out if Violet can get off of work. And Will was talking to him, and it looked good. And then I read a bunch of the news groups over the weekend where he was saying that he was coming in. So I assumed he'd be here. He never left me a message saying he wasn't coming. But the last couple of times I booked him, he's not showing up the day he's supposed to and then called me that day to book himself for the next day.
So this is a pattern, you're saying?
Yeah, maybe he's got like OCD. where he can't be there the day he says he's going to be there. I'll bet you he'll be on tomorrow.
Well, hopefully he is. He's my favorite guest.
Well, and we have something interesting to talk to him about finally.
Yeah, he killed somebody.
Right? No, exactly. Well, he did. I mean, not whether it was on purpose or not.
Yeah, do you really believe that it wasn't on purpose? Because I heard you say that to Howard 100 News.
Well, the police ruled it an accident.
Yeah, but with him behind the wheel?
Yeah, but just because a guy's a little out there doesn't mean he did that on purpose. That's a heavy allegation to make.
That's true.
All right. Thanks, Nat.
Hey, Howard.
Yeah.
We probably should get to Elliot Offen on the street only because he's, running around like a lunatic and he may leave soon.
All right, how do I do that?
Right here.
How do I get to Elliot?
Fred will bring it up and it'll be in your monitor.
It's up now.
It's up. Hey, Elliot.
Hi, how are you?
All right, Elliot. But
yes,
I know I read your blog, and you thought that I'm somehow banning you from the building. Honest to God, I'm not.
Well, okay, good. Good to hear that.
Yeah,
good to hear that.
Yeah, for some reason, I guess when you were coming up in an elevator. What's the matter? What's the matter? Are they putting the mic too close to you?
Yeah, too close. All right, it's okay. We're okay now. Go ahead.
When you were coming up in the elevator in the McGraw-Hill building, I guess your language was somewhat salty.
Well, it wasn't only salty, it was vile, vulgar, vituperative, and violent, right?
Right. So I guess what happened is some of the executives, big shots here, that's gangster talk for bigwig.
I love the way you impersonate me. You love me that much, right?
Yes.
You love me that much, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right. So I guess you started to curse so much that they complained to the building and said they did not want Elegant Elliot Offen in the building anymore.
Get the name right. I tell you one more time. Offen, right? Elegant Elliot Offen.
What am I saying?
You're saying Offen, right? You got to get
Elegant Elliot Offen.
There you go. You got the right enunciation now. You got the right enunciation. Excellent.
Now, you seem calmer today. The last time you were here, you were screaming at me, F you.
I wasn't screaming at you. That was my crescendo that I was going to bust your fingers and take your teeth out gangster style, one tooth at a time. I wasn't screaming.
Why so angry with me? What did I do to you?
I'm not angry at you. I wanted to get the point in of what happened between me and Joseph Corson in the world-famous stage delicatessen many years ago.
What happened?
Very simple. The guy, Joe Corson, a bulldog, pit bull, kind of a bouncer. He was disrespecting my father, Sam Offen. We were the biggest customers in the worldwide stage delicatessen on 54th Street and 7th Avenue, right?
Okay, what happened?
So he was disrespecting my dad.
What did he say to him?
He was telling my dad, look, hurry up. Let's go. We need the table. My dad is talking about sports, gambling, right? All these kind of things. And the guy is rushing my father. My father's been a customer there for 30 years, right? Okay. So I just stood up. I'm there with Murray Offen. Murray Offen took $70 million out of the pornography industry, right?
Your father was a pornographer?
I said Murray Offen, my uncle,
All right,
right?
yes.
My uncle.
What did your father do for a living?
My father had the business at 42nd Street and 8th Avenue inside the pornography store.
Put the keys down. They're rattling.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
All right, where we sold knives and guns, right?
Right.
Knives and guns on 42nd Street, right? That's how we made all the cash.
Did you have a good relationship with your father? I would guess maybe you didn't because of, sort of how things turned out.
No, I mean, it was okay.
Was he critical of you?
No, it was okay, but in any event, to go back to Joseph Corson, I just told Joe Corson in front of some 300-plus people on a Saturday night in a jam-packed stage, worldwide delicatessen, worldwide known. I said, look, back off, don't diss my father, get in the wind, cop a stroll, and take off. And the guy didn't want to do that. So I was just, all of a sudden, like, one word led to another, and like, I don't want to hit Mike here. I fucking hit him 4 haywires, and I left the dead, right? I left fucking bleeding. His fucking dentures were broken up. His teeth were knocked out. The Midtown North were gonna pinch me. That's gangster talk for lock me up. So my father had to pay the guy off with $7,500, right? $7,500 to fix up all his fucking teeth. I broke his fucking mouth up, right?
Now, I'm surprised they didn't put you in jail for that. You can't go around insulting people.
Right. That was a Class A felony, right?
Right.
But we paid the fucking guy, Joseph Corson, off in dollars, right? $7,500, right? Now, listen, by the way, I appreciate, you letting me air that story. Do me a favor. Tell that fucking frog face in the back to keep her fucking cunt closed when I'm talking.
Who?
Okay.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, I thought she was giggling in the background. Okay.
Why are you so hostile to Robin? What has she done to you? I mean, you called her the sea face. It's disgusting.
No, I didn't call her.
That's not nice. That's not nice.
I said she had cancer of the cunt. I didn't say she had.
Now, you punched the last time you were here, you got so violent, you punched our wall, and you punched right through the wall.
I busted your fucking wall, and at that time I was so irate I was wishing your fucking head was behind that. But right now...
Why would you be so angry with me? I've only given you radio airtime, something you crave, and let you promote your product. How dare you?
By the way, right now, like you and I, we're communicating better right now,
because
right?
you're calmer now.
No, you're calmer now.
No.
But in any event,
I'm always calm.
Thank goodness you got better.
In any event, that was the story. So, by virtue to avoid getting pinched on a felony for first-degree assault, that was the fucking story that I just wanted to unveil. That I wasn't going to let anybody take advantage of my father, right?
And you got upset the last time. I thought you were going to come in and explain to people that you had a car accident where unfortunately a woman was injured and then died.
Right.
Well, I thought you were going to come in and just say, listen, it was an accident and it was a terrible thing, and you got angry with me again.
Well, whatever the details are, that is the exact situation. It is very unfortunate. It is very sad. And that's a horrible situation. It was not my fault in any way, but I can't go into the details right now.
Right.
I can't go into the details right now.
So why'd you get mad at me? Why didn't you just say that?
That's what I wanted to, but like...
I would have been fine. That was all you needed to say.
Right, but when I came into the studio, I figured because I'm Elegant Elliot, 143 appearances... In the last 7 years, I figured you were going to roll out the red carpet, put on a black hat, put on white gloves, and say, Elegant, come on. But instead, like I thought you were rushing me in and trying to be discourteous to me. And I wasn't going to shit.
Well, by the way, you're cutting out because of this, because unfortunately you have to be on the street to communicate with us, and the microphone keeps cutting out. Let me tell you something, Elliot.
Right.
If I invite you into the studio... It's to have a dialogue with you to find out what's going on. You have a tremendous chip on your shoulder.
Right, no, excuse me 1 minute, Howard.
Yeah.
Beachy, what you're mumbling in the background. What the fuck do you want, Beachy?
My money.
What do you want?
Hey, who's this? Who is this?
What the fuck do you want? You're in the back. Move out.
Wait. Or April in this.
Wait. I can't hear it.
Move the fuck back. Move the fuck back. You're starting to annoy me. Move the fuck back.
What? Who is that?
This is this fucking guy from the movie. I told him not to come near this fucking place.
What movie?
I warned him.
Elliot.
From my video. This is the fucking guy who did the narration. The first 12, excuse me, he wrote the first 12 minutes, the biographical narrative retrospective of Violent dehumanizes Elegant Elliot.
Wait, Elliot, there's a man standing next to you on the street. He's talking. What is he saying? Let me hear what he's saying, this man. Wait, what is he doing?
Out of his bag?
What does he have? What is this? Who are you, sir? Sir, who are you?
Okay.
Who are you?
I'm Dr. BG, and I wrote...
What is this? Get a microphone on Elliot.
Fucking imbecile not to come here. Didn't I tell this fucking...
Why are you mad at this guy?
Because I told him not to interfere with my show, right?
Who is he? Why is he looking for airtime, this guy?
Because he did the first 12 minutes on the movie Violent dehumanizes Elegant Elliot. He did the first 12 minutes. He's got his 12 minutes on the movie Violent dehumanizes Elegant Elliot. He did the first 12 minutes. He's got his hand out like a fucking beef stew. He's got his hand out for money like a fucking beef stew.
Do you owe him some money, Elliot? Is that what's going on?
Says I owe him fucking money.
How much? How much does he owe?
I don't know. What you fucking say I owe you? I don't know what I owe you. What the fuck did you say that I owe you?
Well, let me hear what this guy has to say, Elliot. Maybe I can work this out.
Okay.
For you. All right, go ahead. Let me hear from this guy, the announcer.
What's the amount? What's the amount? Stupid. What's the amount?
50 grand.
How much?
50 grand.
How does Elliot owe you 50 grand?
Because I wrote this, I edited it, I announced it in the video, and then I illustrated it.
I
mean, I put in a lot of work. I took time off from work to do this.
So you followed him down here to confront him on the radio?
That's right.
That's right. Do you think that's wise? I mean, Elliot is a gangster. He could erupt.
I'm not afraid of him. I traveled through the subway in the middle of the night with him when I was working. I spent the whole night in the video place and not at the safest of neighborhoods.
Elliot,
I'm not afraid of him.
Do you owe the guy $50,000 or not? I mean, let's straighten this right out.
I don't owe the guy $50,000. This is a fucking bunco artist. He's trying to fucking bunco me for large amounts of cash.
What does bunco mean?
He wants to fucking bamboozle me and corn swaddle me and flim-flam me for about 50 times. 50 times. Gangster talk for 50,000.
You know what's sad about this, Elliot?
Right.
It seems like all of your relationships go sour. Do you notice a pattern?
The pattern is because I gave this guy 12 minutes of fame to be in my fucking movie, and now he's trying to, like, rip me off for $50,000 worth. He put 12 minutes for $50,000, right? That doesn't seem normal. It doesn't seem right, does it?
Did you promise him money for in exchange for services?
Yeah, I promised him an amount of cash that would be reasonable, rational, righteous, fair, right, but not 50 dimes. Violet, April, and I worked on the movie, as you know, for 3 years, right? 3 years we worked on it. He came in at the very end, and now he's trying to demand and buffalo $50,000 out of it, right? That don't go down that way. That ain't going to happen that way.
How much money do you owe him, then?
I would have to figure, like, 1/10 of what he's asking for, right? Right, about 1/10 of what he's asking for.
All right, it seems like Elliot is embroiled.
20% of the video.
What?
The whole video was 1 hour, and I'm 12 minutes of it.
Oh, this is crazy.
All right, well, there's a whole thing going on with Elliot down
Howard,
there.
how much could that video have made so far?
Elliot,
the
video is selling. Hey, don't make me start abusing you, stupid, right? You have no idea what it made. And listen, anytime
I got a pretty good idea it didn't make anything.
And listen, anytime you put your nose into it, a frog face, what I do, I find you on York Avenue where you live, and I slap the fucking shit out of you, right?
Oh, I wish I could see that.
I find you in York Avenue.
Who lives in York Avenue?
He's talking about me.
Oh, you.
Right.
Oh, Robin.
Right where the cunt lives, right?
Well, when did you slap me, you nutcase?
Then I said I will slap the shit out of you. I'll slap your fucking eyes out. Right? Right? Gangster style, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I'm not even asking you for $50,000. What are you going to do to that guy?
Listen, when the time is right, the guy will see what I do. If he gets too close to me, but the police are here right now, so I don't want to go back to the joint again, right?
Uh-oh, the cops are here.
I don't want to go back to the joint. Otherwise, I might flatten the guy right now on the street. Right? I might
Elliot,
bury him right now.
It's turned out to be a very negative thing for you, this videotape.
No, the tape is great. It's selling all over 8th Avenue,
right.
In the funny store, 44th Street, and all over 8th Avenue. The tape is doing great.
Do you ever not yell? Do you ever calm down and just relax? Like the Hulk. You're like the Hulk.
This is my crescendo, right?
All right.
By the way, I see all your fucking beef stews here. All your rusty nails, your broken fingers are dressed warm. They look cold. Get a look at the gander, right? Get a look at the fucking calf muscles, right? How are the deltoids looking? That's optimum health.
Is your point that you can be out in the cold and not be affected by it?
Right, not be affected because of top flight, pristine physical condition, right? Top notch. Your other fucking broken fingers here look like they're ready to die, right? They look like they're fucking ready to die.
All right.
They all look cold, right?
Elliot, are you looking to plug something today that we can help you with?
I appreciate it a lot. Violet dehumanizes Elegant Elliot on video, on VHS and DVD for 30 bananas, right? On DVD, $20 on VHS, 693 8th Avenue. Arnold Martin, my partner at the Funny Store, they're loaded up with a few thousand copies. It's all over 8th Avenue. You have erotic and exotic, kinky, funky, raunchy, freaky sex.
All right, and give the last word to your partner there.
And 1 minute, right?
Yes.
And you have my 13 felony convictions listed one by one, a narrative retrospective of my criminal past, and also, as far as BG goes, BG, look, I warned you, right? I gave you admonitions. Don't break into my fucking show, right? Now, if the cops weren't here and you came this close to me, I'd do to you what I was going to do to Stern, what I'm going to do to Robin Quivers if she gets him. I'm going to slap her fucking face open. I would slap you in the fucking face, and I'd knock your fucking teeth out right now, right here and now, if the fucking cops weren't here, right? I'd punch you the fuck out right now, right? I'd punch you the fuck out right now.
Well,
right?
let me talk to this gentleman. Sir, I would say you should maybe keep your distance from Elliot.
This, right?
Maybe
Never
you should
get
just
involved in
maybe
that,
take
right?
it up in the courts.
Elliot, don't get any blood on your green slacks.
No, that my family knows his family for almost 60 years.
That's the life-saving. That's probably what's saving your life, because your family knows my family, right? Because right, because you're going to raise money, right? Okay, right.
What is that, sir? I can't hear.
I was going to raise money to make a movie based upon a book I was going to write. This is a better story than The Sopranos. I mean, he was a great criminal, if that's what people like.
But now you will not do business
genius.
with him because he didn't pay
Well,
you.
we'll see. We'll see.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, you two. All right. Elegant Elliot Offen.
Get the name right, Offen. And by the way, listen, Stern, by the way, good luck with what you're doing. The only thing that's troubling me, listen, I don't want to put a damper in it. That's gangster talk. Arnold Martin, who gives, my partner at the funny store, says the Sirius stock is down to $4. What's going on? Can you give me an update on that? Are you okay? Is everything all right?
Everything will be fine, Elliot. Thank
okay.
you.
Listen, the best of good luck.
Thank you.
Right?
Right.
And we're going to be back on the show as soon as I can unveil and disclose, give you a full divulgence of what happened in that horrible, tragic car accident.
All right. We would like the full information when you are able to give it to us. Elegant Elliot Offen.
All right, Stern.
All right. Thank you. There he is. On the street fighting with a guy.
Still the greatest.
Still the greatest guest.
I don't know. I was a little bored through some of it. Thank God that guy stepped up.
You were getting tired?
I think what we saw was an elaborate 5-minute plug for the movie. I think that was staged.
Yeah, that looked a little fake to me.
At least it brought some life back into
Thank you.
thing.
Some wrestling going on there.
And now he's going to find me and beat me up. Oh, boy.
Oh, man. I am endlessly entertained by that maniac. I really am. I know some people like his appearances and some hate them, but, I can only go by my sheer enjoyment at listening
what
to that.
do I care that he hit somebody 20 years ago?
Joe Corson.
I don't know.
And it sounds like the guy was so...
Joe Corson?
He knocked out his dentures.
I think the guy was a bouncer at a speakeasy.
Well, there you go. Elegant Elliot Offen.
Yes. It was vibracious didactic.
Vituber.
I mean, Gary, what's it like when he was today a typical Elliot day, or what was going on beforehand? You got to fill us in.
There's nothing typical about an Elliot appearance. So let me give you from the start. So after this tragedy that he speaks of happened, where this woman was run over by Elliot, which he's saying was an accident, we tried to get him on the show, and one of the issues I was having is that Howard 100 News was going after him, and they were being a little bit more confrontational. I just wanted to have him come in and hear his side of the story. But on the other hand, Howard 100 News helps me because they can get the story that I can't get to. You know what I mean? They have more time to get to it. So there was some anger, and he was pissed off, and Steve Langford, that whole thing went on. Then we booked him to come on the show. He didn't show up. We booked him to come on the show again. He didn't show up. Will was dealing with him a lot, and Elliot had this whole list of demands. He wanted to come in with Violet. Then Violet wasn't available. He wanted to come in with his partner, BG, the guy that's helping him sell the videotape. He wanted us not to mention the name of the trucking company that he was driving when the accident happened. All this stuff, and I'm like, fine on everything. Then he called about 3 days ago, and this is the part where he was sort of rational. He had this really sort of rational thought. He goes, I'm thinking to myself, and he was talking calmly, I'm thinking to myself, Gary, if we can talk. And it's a funny thing because he gets that low voice and talks really normal, and then all of a sudden Elliot emerges again. He's got like Elliot Tourette's. So he said, listen, I don't think that it's a good idea for me to come on the show and talk about this horrible tragedy where a woman died and then promote my videotape where Elegant Elliot Offen gets humiliated. And I thought that was...
That makes a lot of sense,
makes a ton of sense. He goes, I don't think people want to buy a video after a guy just said that he accidentally ran over a woman. So we negotiated a deal, which was very easy. In fact, there's 2 appearances. He was booked for today. He was booked again for March 20th. And Elliot said, I'll even trust you on this. I'll come in and give you the show that you guys want to do first, which would be today,
book me 2 or 3 weeks later, put a little distance, let me come in with Violet and do that show. And that's the discussion we had. He was pretty normal during the conversation, as normal as Elliot can be. When it got to be 8:20 this morning, everyone's like, Elliot's not coming, he's not coming. But I knew he was coming because we had spoken. He's always late. He is always late. I don't know what it is with him, but he's always late. He got here about 10 of, and then all hell broke loose.
Yeah, if you missed it, when Elliot came in, this is what it sounded like. And it kind of only got worse from that point.
It degenerated immediately, and it was, he started with a statement that he insisted on making where he just had to personally attack Howard, and he mentioned like 4 negative things that have happened to Howard over the last 10 years. A divorce. He got all his facts wrong. He said, then you got thrown off of K-Rock, which Howard didn't. He said, then all your ratings went down, which didn't. And I don't know, he got into this weird thing, and I don't know what, I didn't see that one coming.
That was his statement, and then I guess he was ready, he was attempting to move on. Do you think he would have eventually moved on to talking about what happened?
Yeah, he gets sort of fixated on making a point, and then once he feels he's made it, he will move on. But if you stop him from making it, he sort of gets fixated on it. Well, it's funny, after he left, Howard made the point during the break that Ralph makes all the time about a lot of these people. Ralph just showed up. But Ralph makes this point all the time, which is we book Elliot because he's nuts. And then when he acts nuts, we get mad, or I get mad. But I actually wasn't mad this time. But it is funny. Like, what am I supposed to say? One of the members of the Whack Pack is acting wacky?
Is wacky, yeah. That always cracks me up. But, you know, to me, he just crossed the line today.
How?
Because he just can't, I mean, do that explosion, but at least give Howard a chance to say, you know what I mean? It just comes in, and he was like shot out of a cannon. He's just a fucking retard, and I just think he should be banned from the show. And then he starts calling Robin the C word. I mean...
But, Rob, now I throw it back at you. He's crazy. He's Elegant Elliot Offen. What do you expect from him? A normal guy?
Don't book him. You know, if you book him, that's what you get. I say don't... That's it. I mean, I could take him sometimes. He's kind of funny, but I'm done with him.
I would go to the phones, but I would think that as a general rule, the audience loves him one way or the other.
We are going to go to the phones, but Ralph, I don't know if you heard it, but when I went in to preview the show, I went around the horn. Actually, Howard asked on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it? And I said a 9. Robin was 10. Fred was 10. Howard was 10. Artie was 10. I mean, everybody. I was running out the door. Everybody, but you know, it was just grating, and I sort of wanted to hear.
Yeah, see, that's
what he had to say.
Yeah. I would give it an 8, and the only reason I give it an 8 is because I didn't get to hear him give the explanation. But I think I
would give it a 6. I mean, he is funny at times, but he's borderline for me. And today he just went over the line.
And I got to tell you,
enough of him. If he never came on again, I wouldn't miss him. That's the bottom line.
But I think you're in the minority on that. I really do. There's something
big surprise.
No, but right? I think that people are annoyed by him, yet they enjoy hearing him.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's find out. I mean, John from Richmond, you're on the wrap-up show.
Well, I think you guys are crazy. I think he's a nut. You shouldn't have him on anymore. I can't stand him.
Exactly.
All he does is fucking go on irate tangents, and he's nuts. Why do you bother with this moron?
Do you find him entertaining at all?
No, not at all. Matter of fact, all he does is piss me off.
Yeah, and
he just pisses me off. I feel like running up to New York and beating the fucking crap out of him.
But he makes you. You know what? Here's the thing. He makes you have an opinion. You know what I mean? He makes you feel something.
Listen, I'm certainly somebody people have an opinion about, and you know, I just think he's reached his point of usefulness. I mean, we've gotten all we can out of him. You know, it's the same old thing over and over. It's the same trick.
See, but I disagree. I disagree with you. He's as useful now as he'll ever be because he's got a story to tell.
Who cares? You know what? Quite frankly, I don't really care about that story at this point. You know, it's like, who cares? Let him go away.
Listen, when you run someone over and you kill them, it's interesting. I think that getting the truth, or
you're not going to get the truth, so who cares?
But it is interesting to hear what he's got to say.
I think he's interesting as well.
He's not saying anything.
Nick from Fort Myers, what do you think about Elliot Offen?
Man, I got to just say one thing, Baba Booey. I agree. Elliot's the man. I've been jonesing for one of his rants on Sirius for so long, man. I haven't heard one of his rants, and you know, he should dumb down the F word and the cunt thing, and go back to his old style where he kind of picks something and then dwells on it, and you know, he'll make you want to cry when he starts going off.
He's a style.
I like him, and I've been jonesing for him, and I was laughing my ass off when I heard him today, because that's Elliot. That's who he is, and that's who he's always been, and he didn't change. That's great.
Here's the thing. Here's where I think he blew it today. He could have done what he did and then calmed down, or at least gotten into the conversation, because now he's got to come back again and still talk about the accident before he can come back in again and do his, promote his tape where he gets violated by Violet with a hairbrush.
I think what you need to do is, before you let him come in to promote that, and he has to explain the accident. You should just do it with him, interview him on the phone or something like that.
No. I want to have him back.
Make him get that, because he's going to do the same thing again. You know, he's just Ralph, wait. Let me ask you. Were you, when you found out Elliot was coming on today, were you looking forward to his appearance at all? Be honest. I mean, yeah, I'm interested in maybe hearing him. I'm not like, oh my God, he's on. I'm going to turn it off. But you know, I'm just enough with him already for me. Is Elliot? I've just, I don't. What's he going to do? I don't really care what he does. And he's a freaky looking motherfucker too.
Is Elliot any more of a one-trick pony than Eric the midget actor, whatever we call him? Oh, every time Eric calls, you know what you're going to get.
Oh, but Eric's a gold mine.
But that's how I feel about Elliot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I love Eric, man, because he's not a bad person. You know, I don't think Elliot's a good person.
I don't either.
Part of it too.
But whether he's good or bad has no merit on whether he's entertaining.
Chris from Jersey, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, Baba Booey, John, Ralph. Hey.
Hey now.
Hey, Elliot pissed me off when he said that to Robin, and I had another thing. Hey, can we get Paco to call up Les, maybe on his birthday, and hurt his feelings?
Hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
Chris, Elliot, good guest or a bad guest?
I was interested in what he was having to say about that accident, but after he started going on his rant, I wanted to throw his ass out of there.
Yeah. All right, so you agree with Ralph. Okay. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Victor in Baltimore. Victor, you're on the wrap-up show. Victor, you there? Victor is gone. Let's go to Joe in Martha's Vineyard. Joe, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, guys. How we doing?
What's up?
Classic Elliot today. Classic. They sounded like a guy on crystal meth on a bad episode of Cops. He was all cranked up, and even the barbs he threw at Howard and Robin.
Cranked up?
He was all cranked up. Howard and Robin get to put on the soft gloves and spar with them. That's what makes great radio.
And you should have, I got to tell you, he was almost as good today. I'm generally annoyed by this aspect of him. He was almost as good today in the hallway as he was on the show. He started picking on Greg, the camera guy.
Nice.
And, yelling at me, and he was performing. When he gets a crowd, he had a lot of security around him. He was just amusing in the hallway.
Yeah, Gary, what does he look like when he's, like, on the verge like that?
Well, first of all, you have to understand something. I mean, he wears makeup. His hair is really greasy and oily. He pulls it back. And then he's wearing a lot of makeup, but he always does this one thing. He puts this sort of skin-colored makeup under his eyes, which I assume most people would rub into your eyes so that you would cover the dark circles. But he doesn't rub it in. It's almost like war paint, and it's very odd to look at. And then he gets angry. He starts to sweat. There's sweat, there's oil, there's makeup, and it's a whole mess.
He's real ugly, isn't he?
And on top of it, he's real ugly.
Real ugly.
It almost sounded like old-time professional wrestling 2006.
Yeah, he ain't wrestling, though. That's the whole problem.
You know what? This funny story. I was driving down West Houston Street one day, and going kind of like 5 miles an hour, all of a sudden somebody jumps in front of my car, in my Jeep. I almost hit him. It was Elliot. He just like prancing through the street in women's clothing. He is the real deal. I'll give him that.
All the cops know him in Queens because he runs. He runs dressed as a woman, and apparently he can run great distances. 6, 8, 10 miles a day.
As you saw by his calves today.
Look at those guns.
Oh Jesus! But we were walking. I mean, the on-demand stuff when it comes out will be great because I was walking through the hallway with Brian Phelan, who works for those guys, and Brian's a pretty big guy. And we walk by Elliot, and Brian throws, "Hey, Elliot," and Elliot just goes, "Hey, heavy." I'm just right off the he is always on,
right?
And that's why I think makes him such a great guest. Eric in the Bronx, you're on the wrap-up show.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. As far as Elliot goes, I mean, he comes in, he does his little shtick, but he's flying off at the mouth with the foul language, and he's not giving Howard and Robin the chance to talk. And they don't want to throw him out, but I just think it was a little too much.
Too over the top for you.
Yeah, too much, a little too much. I mean, I don't mind the foul language, but he's cursing, he's calling Robin the C word. It was just a little too much.
He's acting like Elliot.
I think everybody was genuinely frustrated too because you did want to hear his story because it's been out there for a while.
Jason told me a great story about him. I said because I was talking about how I can have these conversations with him off the air where he's mostly normal, but he does have like this Elliot Tourette's where he has to break into that guy. And Jason was saying when he booked him to go to Las Vegas that he was talking to him for a very long time, and it was almost weird how normal Elliot was being, and then Elliot suddenly broke into this rant about how he absolutely had to be home before sundown because he's Jewish. And we just thought it was such a wild thing that he's so into religion and a thief, he's been convicted, he's talked about it on the air, and a gangster.
And a gangster who observes the Sabbath. That's,
Exactly.
That's kind of bizarre.
I'll kill you, but I have to do it before sundown.
All right, we're going to take a break.
Right?
When we come back, the great Mr. Skin will join us. You're listening to the Wrap-Up Show on Howard 100 and Howard 101.
Elliot Offen made his long-awaited appearance on the Howard Stern Show. His reason for being there, to end speculation surrounding the events of December 15th. On that night, Elliot was in New York City driving a van southbound on York Avenue, and at the corner of East 82nd Street, the police report says Offen struck both Reva Press-Ullman and her companion Leonard Shear, sending them both to the hospital, where Ms. Ullman died 2 weeks later. Instead of giving his recollection of the facts, Elliot went off on a tirade, berating both Howard Stern and Robin Quivers, using the vilest language imaginable. Just prior to his appearance, Elliot pranced and preened around the Stern green room, showing off his muscles until show producer Gary Delabate and in-demand associate producer Greg Carmel asked Elliot a few questions about his reasons for being on Howard's show.
I'm Elegant Elliot. I'm here because Stern, on bended knees, right? And Delabate beseeched me, right, to come here. They've been calling me like 400 times in the last 2 months. They want to have the actual, factual, stark reality version of what happened on the night of 12/15/05. So I'm going to give him the true factual accounting, the stark, sobering, sombering reality of this very unfortunate, tragic accident which took place.
Then Elliot tells Stern Show producer Gary Delabate what they're going to talk about, because it has to be done his way.
We're not going to talk about the video. Something really sad happened, right? Tragedy happened, right? We're going to focus on that. Well, on the 20th, he's going to bring me back. It's not right. It's not right in the eyes of God, right? Even if people are sacrilegious, they have an elementary and fundamental and rudimentary respect for the one up above, our maker, our creator. That ain't the right thing to do. You know, guys know better than that, right? That's why Delabate... That's why Delabate, he agreed to do it my way, because it really would be a lack of dignity, a lack of decorum, a lack of sanctity, a lack of solemnity for a dead person. That's not the right thing to do. You know better than that. Everybody knows better than that, right?
Then one would think Elliot was ready for his day in the public court, but the situation, once inside Stern's studio, deteriorated rapidly into a vile, name-calling debacle with Elliot calling out Stern. And then Elliot told Stern's sidekick Robin Quivers,
What?
Howard tried to quiet Elliot by introducing me. That went nowhere as Stern funny man Artie Lang tried to get Elliot to listen to my questions.
It's from Nick Cantor.
After repeated attempts by Howard and Robin to get Elliot stabilized, the in-studio interview went completely south.
How'd you run over a woman? Get the fuck out of here, you asshole. Get lost.
Well, that went well.
Slamming through the Stern studio door, Elliot fled the scene in the company of private security guards, continuing his rant.
What's going on, man? You saw what just happened, right? I just wiped them off the fucking earth, right? I just told the whole fucking world he's a fucking deadbeat, right? A fucking rusty nail. All right, where's the out?
Elliot, how come you wouldn't answer Howard's questions?
Because I didn't get a chance to get what I wanted in first, right?
And that was our day with Elliot Offen. Erica, George? Quite an episode.
It was, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to... Did you at any time feel as if you were in danger?
When I stood outside the studio, and even though there were two guards there, Ronnie Munn was there, Howard's guard, and another guard was there. When I stood outside, Elliot kept prancing around and dancing, shaking his keys, trying to get attention and pushing the cameraman away. So you never knew if he was going to lunge at somebody. But I personally didn't feel threatened. It was just, he's a strange individual.
Well, he's sick.
There's something off.
Strange guy, but did you expect anything different from what you saw today?
Well, I'll tell you this. Because of what you heard at the beginning of the interview where Elliot said, this is not right, it's not right with the creator, we should be able to, this is a sad event, I thought there was a glimmer of hope I would get in at least one question, but you saw where that went. Yeah.
Can we just have a quick background? You are on the Elliot Offen story.
Right.
After our reporter Steve Langford had been on that story. It just got too contentious.
Well,
is that what happened?
No, I think and Steve will correct me if I'm wrong. Steve was covering him from a number of different aspects, and then we got a lead in the Howard 100 newsroom that there had been an accident, And then I started
got on
on
that
the
story.
research from that point forward to find out because there was a death involved.
Right.
And was there a reason why you did this in-studio interview, or tried to do it, as opposed to Steve doing it? Was there any kind of safety issue involved in that?
Not to our knowledge, but we know that, as Steve mentioned on the wrap-up show, that Elliot tried to hit him once, or apparently tried to hit him once at a video store, so there was one element there.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Howard 100 News reporter Mike Piazza.
You're listening to the Howard 100 News. This is the midday edition. Now, the Stern fan accused of posting a death